What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as a midday show. That in the forest green is your girl Adara, and I'm Sharif. And we're going to wait for everyone to come on over from the other stream as the market takes a nice little flush there off a 17.6 rejection. Down goes Meta off that 495 into 492. That's a nice, easy $3 move right there. Let's go in and say hello to everyone coming on over. Hello, the crazy Stitch lady. It's been a minute since I've seen you in the chat. Welcome back. Jay, Zach, Darwin, two Pamps, baby. Matthew, Booth. We got Stupid Bitcoin. No, come on now. JC Finance, Big Bob Dub. We got Pitchbull. We got Damn, Ponzi, Fonzie, Cairo. Yes, Cairo. Mr. Long Shorts, Taron, Tej, Andrew Chow, JF Trader, Coin Clockin, Billy Boy, Charlie Taff, Martin Currency. We got Zach Frack. We got Cristiano Ronaldo, Alex B, Red Discipline Trades, Jeremy Newman, and Dan the Man Emmons. Hello to everybody. Thank you for joining Adara and I on this beautiful Tuesday.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. We always love to be here and trade and talk and see what everybody else is trading. It is a Tuesday. It is beautiful. I am ready for these markets. It is earnings season. I am in a great mood. I know you said you were in a great mood as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good little day today. Is there anything you're looking at?
I'll just talk about this Meta trade that I had super quick here because that's why I saw Meta take that nice $3 flush in a second or so. If I can, Ram. Thank you. 495 was where it was curling right back up to, and then you see that quick 1 minute candle right down to 492. This entry for me here was not willy-nilly. This was a retracement into VWAP. I had a resting order hanging out at the volume weighted average price, and we're able to literally catch the bottom wick on that candle. We're able to take it out for a little bit of a more than $1 there, about $1.20 at the top. So happy with this trade. I've got lots to talk about. We just had a 17.6 rejection. Shout out to Big Kyle Burdett taking the SPY short 505.15. Shout out to you, Kyle. Maybe we will trend down from here. It's been a nice bull green day today, but that doesn't mean it has to stay that way. So we shall see what the market brings. But today we are talking about pullback entries. All week long, we're talking about bull flag trades. Today, we'll talk about how to weasel your way into the trade vis-a-vis a pullback. So the pullback beckons with its promise of a continued uptrend, but who wants to pay top dollar? I know I don't. Enter the pullback entry strategy where you aim to snag a long position at a potentially better price point within the overall bullish pattern. So let's get right to this bad boy. So the bull flag refresher, just for those who did not join us yesterday and for the newer traders who don't know what a bull flag is. So imagine a bull taking a breather before the charge. The bull flag pattern reflects this on a chart. It forms after a price increase. So there's the pull aspect to the bull flag, and then there is the flag or the pennant aspect. So the pull aspect is the big move up, and the sideways move is the bull taking its breather, the consolidation aspect to the bull flag, okay? It forms after a price increase followed by a period of consolidation within a defined range, which gives it that kind of resemblance to the flag. This consolidation can present an opportunity for that pullback entry. So here's an example of it. You see it, a nice big move here on the Euro US dollar, nice bump up there through the top. You can see a bit of a top there, and then what we have here is a pennant. And what separates the flag from a pennant is whether there are higher lows and lower highs, so a bit of a compression pattern, as you can see there with the equilateral triangle, or is it kind of like a parallelogram? I don't even know how to
Parallelogram.
say parallelogram, there we go. Kind of like where it's twisted in its shape, a little bit of an upward channel or a downward channel, even a completely horizontal channel. So the ones that are horizontal or upward and downward diagonal, those are flags. The ones that have compressions, those are pennants. So why a pullback entry? Well, first things first, obviously you get a better price. The pullback offers a potential entry point lower than the eventual breakout, obviously, because the breakout is at the high end. This helps you maximize your profit potential. But there's also a confirmation aspect to this. It's not just a better price. A minor pullback within the flag acts as a confirmation on the underlying bullish sentiment. So you don't retrace the whole move, you retrace a portion of it, and then you try to see where that defined level of support is, and that's where you want to enter. And so this is another perfect example over here. You have a nice little consolidation area after a pullback, and then boom goes the diamond. And there you have, see, the lower highs and the lower lows. So these are diagonal. This one would be a flag, whereas the previous one I would show you would be a pennant. And this is where you're looking to get in anywhere near the lower end of the range. Not going to be perfect. You know, most of the time you're not going to get bottom wick, but at least you have a target, an area, a general area where you know where to get long. And the beautiful part about this is not just where to get long, but to know where you're wrong. So if it ends up breaking below that level within a certain amount, based on your predefined risk management tolerance, you know exactly to get out there. So that's what I like about these bull flags. Finding the pullback entry point. So how do we weasel our way into the trade once we've already identified all the necessary components? So the first area is the support levels, like I just finished talking about. Look for the horizontal lines on the chart where the price has previously bounced back up. These support levels might act as a floor during a pullback, offering a better entry opportunity. And here's the thing, just because, so I just want to show something. So just because this area here is stopping out and you're getting support at this particular area, doesn't mean that this area previously, if I was to look at the chart, you know, go back a few days, maybe change the time frame from the 5 into the 15 or the half, this area here might be another interesting area that reappeared on the chart as a key area of support. So going back and looking to see, does the level of the lower end of the consolidation of the flag, does that jive with anything else? So that's another interesting point there. Okay, so support levels. But not only that, you can also do fib retracements. So let me show you exactly what I mean here. And I don't have a bull flag, obviously, but this is Pan W. What you can do is you can just, let's just pretend this is going to end up being a bull flag. Now we're pulling back a little bit. All you really need to do is retrace, start from the breakout point, pull it up into the top of the range there, and then you have all your different percentage retracements. So you can see whether the pullback ends up stalling out at a particular area. If it keeps dipping into that 50% retracement, so in Pan W's case, it would be around 287, and it does that once, twice, and no be thrice, well, then you know, okay, this is an interesting area. Maybe I should be getting in around this area. This is the low end of the range. So not only do you can use support and resistance levels, but you can employ the Fibonacci's here as well to kind of gauge where you might end up holding up. So fibs as important as well. But the price action, equally as important here, probably if not the most important. Observe how the price reacts at the bottom of the flag's range. Does it find buyers at that particular area? For example, that 287 on Pan W. Are you seeing those bottoming tail candles where, you know, they wick down into a particular level and then you see them getting bought right back up with the body closing near the top? Look for the price action. Is it telling you anything about that specific area that you're looking at? And here's another example. Thank you again, Adair, for adding this in. You can see basically here, this was a previous area of support. We kind of knew that because this was the top end of the consolidation range. Lo and behold, the bottom area of the bull flag ends up holding at that previous area of support. So that's what kind of we mean by support and resistance there. It's not just local support. Look previously to see if the trough on the low end of the consolidation range of the bull flag was a previous area of support. And beyond the basics. So while pullback entries seem attractive, remember these key points. First of all, I really want to emphasize this because this happens a lot, especially in intraday trading, day trades, where the failure rate to a lot of this stuff is a lot higher than, say, on swing trading. False breakouts, okay? Prices might test support, right, but then break through. There's no guarantee that it bounced once, it's going to bounce twice. If it's bounced twice, it's going to bounce 3 times. There's no guarantee. Be cautious and have confirmation signals. For example, look for increased volume before entering the trade. And patience is key. There's no doubt about that. Don't foresee entry. Wait for the price action and the confirmation signs before pulling the trigger. And stick to your plan. If your price hasn't come in and it's going without you, you're probably going to feel a great degree of FOMO. try to figure ways to alleviate that feeling, because if you keep punching in without a plan, it's usually not going to end all that well. And risk management. Always use stop losses to limit potential losses if the price continues to fall below that support level. And here's a quick tip. Combine pullback entries with other technical indicators like bullish candlestick patterns appearing at the pullback low for increased confidence. For example, if you were to see a hammer candle right where the bottom end of the consolidation of the flag is, that's another little check mark you can put there beside your trader.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for that. So we had some examples. Someone was saying, is coin forming a pennant? So let's take a look at coin and see what we're doing on Coinbase, if there's any basis for this. Okay, yeah, I would say there is some basis for this Coinbase.
Yeah.
Look at this, and look where it's resting at the 90 EMA. I might have to look up my CONL, which actually is enough volume for me to trade this. This is a nice look.
I know about this one. Interesting.
Yeah,
cool.
I showed it. It showed up on, shout out to Trade Ideas on their scanner.
Very cool.
Sometimes in the morning, this one will be trading a lot in tandem with
Very cool.
Coinbase. But I do like this. I'm going to have to keep an eye on this pennant. But yeah, so this is one example, right? You have your move up. And this also gives you a nice little buy opportunity here. I'll switch back to coin because that was what that person asked for. This 90 EMA base, if this holds up, could be maybe, and again, not advice, but if you're just looking at putting the lesson into practice, that could maybe be where you want to enter. If we break above, then we retest, right? You just want to make sure that you have multiple reasons for entering the trade. And it's not just, a singular impetus for getting involved. Also, I am really frustrated at myself for this Affirm. I'm getting out of this now, but this was so frustrating. We had this, and I'm going to be really honest, this is one of the hardest things. This was really hard for me since going live. So we had that move down like 40 pennies. I should have scalped out here. I tried to scalp, but because of the spread on this, it's like 2-3 pennies. I could not get out. I could not get out.
That's frustrating.
I could not get out. Then we were like hanging out below here at the around like 50s, and I was like, if we break into like 40s, I'll take it, right? We didn't break back into 40s. We didn't really do anything with the viciousness beyond that move down. So I'm not gonna lie, a little disappointed. I'm happy I didn't get out right away when we had that break above. I was just kind of waiting for that 10 pennies because I got involved at 59s. But man, if I had been a bit punchier with this, we could have gotten like 40 pennies on this. That being said, if we break back below here and it looks like we are, I'm going to get back involved because I do still like the look of this short. I just need to be scalpier with it. I need to have orders ready instead of just to be able to take advantage of a move down like that, because I'm not going to lie, it's a skosh disappointing. Just a skosh. But there we go. Now, nowhere to go but up from here. Really motivated now by that L to make some M's. Shout out to 21 Savage. Pardon?
Dust that shoulder off, too. There you go. Have you seen the trashy one today? AKA more. No, because, I'm just joking, obviously, because I lost a share on this name. But MARA, another good day for Mara. It had a good day yesterday. It is having another good day today, 9% to the good. Yesterday, Mara was far underperforming the rest of the miners. Riot Blockchain had a monster day yesterday. A couple of nods there from some rating agencies. CleanSpark, as it typically does, outperforming the most of the miners. Today, it's not outperforming Mara, and then HUD 8 as well, also up about 5%. Mara, the king of them all today, 9% to the good, off its highs, though, knocked on the door of 1950 towards the upper end of that Bollinger Band. And look how wide the bands have expanded today based upon today's volatility being up 9%. And that's what we were talking about, keeping an eye on the width of the bands. It's often very reflective of the current state of volatility. But anyway, trades on Mara now. Now, how can we weasel our way into this? I see people saying in the chat, it looks like a bear flag. You're not wrong. And in addition to the, bear flag, bull flag, and you're not wrong. And what I do like about this type of bull flag is that it had a key area where you could get a dip trade, and you could have seen this area before the price actually manifested there, because it is the volume weighted average price. And so if you had a trade there waiting at VWAP for retracement, dip trade 1880 or thereabouts, you printed nicely as this one broke to 1920 multiple times. 40 penny winner on Mara. Not bad, especially intraday, but I really want to point out these 3 topping tail candles here, all into 19.5, all of which rejected. That has me awfully suspicious that there is another short seller or big profit taker on the other side, or not the other side, but near that 19.5 area that's been pushing this one down. So bless you, Katina, man. I'll be looking to weasel my way into this trade if we can get near the volume weighted average price. So much so do I like this, I'm putting an alert to let me know when it does near the volume weighted average price. So Mara, interesting day today for the miners. All the miners, they're all in play today as Bitcoin is flat. Let's be real about it. 66,600 is up 0.03%. So kind of a bamboozler why the miners are running. But you could make the case that after halving has already completed, that the worst is over for these miners. The halving's done. We've all priced in the fact that the product of their effort is going to be cut in half, which is obviously Bitcoin or whatever they're mining anyway. So keep that in check. Now, let's look at these small cap gappers because they're running today and there's plenty to talk about. NIVF is the gift that keeps on giving if you're a small cap trader. It gave yesterday and it's given with two hands again today. All right, so this one was dead money for a prolonged period of time. Come April 22nd, and this thing skyrockets from sub $1 territory and knocks on the door of $2. Today, the door at $2 got open because this one broke it in spades, and now we're talking about $3. $2.95 currently HOD on NIVF. In case you missed the details on this one yesterday, let me re-give it to you. So it's a lot bigger of a market cap now than it was yesterday. $28.5 million market cap. The share size obviously still hasn't changed. The float is 3.7 million shares, so it's a bit of a smaller float. I'm not going to take it at these levels. I need a sustained, healthy pullback. I'd like it ideally. Obviously, you don't get to choose where the pullbacks come in, but let's see what it does at that 10 EMA. All the 10 EMA dips have been bought up. The best one so far was 5 to 11 right over here. It dipped into the green solid line, and that was a nice little buy. So I want to see, first of all, what it does at the 10 EMA. If the 10 EMA doesn't hold, there's an interesting area here, consolidation top at 2 1/3. So we'll see if it holds up there. And then obviously VWAP is at 2 1/5, probably be at 2 1/4 by the time it makes its way down there. So NIVF in play for the small cappers today. The other small capper that I like, they're all kind of selling off a little bit here since I put them on. No worries. The other small capper that I got that I'm focusing on here is CZOO, CZU. So what is this one about? Kazoo Group. $40 million market cap. The float on this monster is 4.7 million shares. Is there a headline? I'm looking. Kazoo Group, okay. I don't have anything from today, but is there anything from yesterday? No, nothing from yesterday. I actually don't have anything on this, okay. So we don't. So I'm going to look at it with a little bit of suspicion. Do you have anything on CZOO?
I didn't, but I feel like this one always runs kind of with no catalyst. Like it is a repeat offender there, the small cap. Kazoo Group.
Do you have anything? No. Right?
No, just halts.
Halts and alerts so that things are halting and whatever. Yeah, no, that's what it shows. You're
Literally,
right.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's trading like a penny or two below the volume weighted average price right now. It is putting in higher lows. Look, I'm not thrilled with the liquidity on this name. It's done 12 million shares, but it looks like the volume is really dropping off here. As you can see, the volume bars really take a hit south. So we'll keep an eye on it. If the volume, picks up, then maybe we'll talk a little bit about this one. Space. Remember this one, Neil? SPCE. This one having an interesting day today. I'm not even sure why this was up. Let's find out here real quick. Space doing things. No headline on this either. Interesting. So no headline on Space, but this is up nicely on the day. Almost 21%, and it's well off the highs. It rejected $1, got into 99 pennies. It's at VWAP right now, but it's broken south of VWAP. So let's see if it's able to reclaim the volume weighted average price at 91 pennies or thereabouts. Otherwise, it won't be tradable for me, but there did seem to be some support at this 88 penny, 87 penny area. That's from earlier, and as well as the bottom end of this trough. So Space possibly in play here. I had some other ones. PALI, it's broken down below the volume weighted average price right now. BTCM as well, kind of the volume really dropping off here after that big move up. So we'll have to keep an eye on some of these, but they look like they're fading out a bit here or there.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a day. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Thank you for the kind words, L Boss in the chat. Yeah, that Affirm hurt a little bit, and then I tried to get back in because I thought we kind of got back in. I'm not gonna lie, probably a Scotia of a revenge trade. And I want to clarify, we didn't lose that much on this even. Really small position sizes, very small losses, but it's still, I'm going to say it is disappointing, right? I'm not going to sit here and lie when you could have had, especially because I consider myself a scalper. I don't know why I wasn't scalping out for that 20, that 40 penny move right down here, right at 20s. Like, feels a little bit like that Billie Eilish song, What Was I Made For? Like having my whole existential moment, but it's all good. It's all good. NVDL here.
Like that.
Oh, thank you. NVDL, I got into this short here. I'm trying to be more patient with this one. I got involved because I did see these lower highs. I also liked that we were having a whole struggle. And you can see here, we had 2 bearish candles here, these wicks up and getting rejected. So I want to see what we do here. If we break above, we're going to give this like 45s. We're going to get out. I'm assuming I will get chased out here, especially with that resting on the 9 EMA. Should have probably looked at the whole picture, but I did like that rejection. I waited a little bit. I thought it was a good entry for now. So far, this has not been my trading day, but it's like we're 22 minutes in.
Yeah, we have a lot
So
of time.
I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, writing myself off, right? So going to turn off the Billie Eilish soundtrack in my head and be prepared for some other opportunities. Although right now I am going to be getting out of NVIDIA. We're out VDL. I can't say out VDL, but we're out VDL. A little bit down in the day, but honestly not bad. This is why I'm trying to take smaller size still as I learn and grow.
The dead one is moving, Adara. AAPL on the way up. Here comes 167, breaking aggressively through that flat top. Wow. How many wicks did we have there? I mean, this is on the 5, too. I could probably multiply this by 5 if I switched to the 1. 166 and a third was definitely a resistance level. It had been acting that way since essentially 10 to 10 this morning. That is no longer the case. 166.98 now, HOD on AAPL as it knocks on the door of that whole dollar level. I really want to point your attention to this area here. Say that again. I know. The Katina Man says, dang you, Apple. Well, the Katina Man has gotten the better of Apple before. He'll get the better of Apple again. But in any event, this 6... How many? It's $1.20 in the money, baby. So he's got the better of Apple. I stand corrected. Okay, he's still net negative. Okay, I'll correct myself again, Katina Man. Now I'm 0 for 3. To God, he says. Help this guy. I want to point out this area here, Ram, from yesterday on AAPL. It's at 167 and a quarter. That's the top there. So if AAPL makes it past 167, which it doesn't look like it's going to right now, a nice 25 penny rejection off that 167 touch. If it does, I'm going to be looking at this level here to see if we do encounter the same type of selling we encountered yesterday. And that was a big move up. Let's call a spade a spade. Look at this move yesterday from 164.75 uninterrupted to 167 and a quarter. So that's a nice decent move, especially for Apple on the day. If we can make it back up there, I'll be looking for the shorts. But the short may have been in here at the whole dollar level at 167. We'll keep eyes on that, Adara. But yeah, that's a look.
Yeah, I don't have a read on anything right now. I'm going to be really, really blatantly honest. I'm still trying to see if there's anything that I like or that I'm in love with. Happy I got out of NVDL where I did. Affirm though, and I don't want to short this again. We're not going to. I did admit the second Affirm trade was maybe a little bit vengeful, just as goes, right? We still did it with like risk and we made sense, but it was just I felt like I had gotten out too early, so I wanted to get back in. That being said, if we keep bouncing up here around this 9 EMA area or around this kind of trough at 50s, I might have to take this as a long scalp. And I emphasize scalp because if we had scalped here, we could have been okay. And it's like I feel like I sometimes for whatever reason, it's like my brain needs a little like kick. We have to have a scalp that goes awry for it to be like, Adara, you like scalping. Why are you trying to stay in these moves for a long time, right? So if I see a scalp, I'm going to have to scalp. I honestly, though, I wish I had stuff I was looking at right now, guys. I keep trying to look at charts, but I'm not really seeing anything that's like screaming at me. IBIT, though. IBIT, again, not a huge read, but I do like these lower highs. I like that we've looked like we've kind of had a little bit of a move to the downside. These lower highs off the 9 EMA, this could be potentially a short. If we get to 3, you know what I like is that 310. If we get to 310 and reject again, and I say 3810. I say 3810 because 3810 was a level yesterday. That was near the high of day for a while heading into the afternoon. So, you know what, we're going to set an order here at 3810 and we're going to get short because scare traders are deficient trader.
Bang.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts. or any losses here. I don't know why I shouted out the Ghostbusters there, but it's all good. So yeah, I'm not afraid of these stocks. So let's see if I like that 38.15 area as well, because that was also an area we fought with yesterday, looking at previous levels. So if we break above 38.15, we're risking 5 pennies, trying to make minimum 10 because I want to get into 38s. And if we struggle with this 38.10s for a while here, I have no problem moving down to 38.09s, but I'm not chasing. So if I don't get my 38.09s, we're just not getting involved in this. That being said, I do like this level. I like this kind of curl to the downside here on IBIT. And let's see what the Qs are doing too.
We're dancing with 17.6 right now.
Yeah, this isn't, I was going to say I want to see, but I don't want to short this top, and I don't want to go long here either. So right now, I mean, I think the main thing, I do like this IBIT. I might get a bit of IBIT, but that's all I'm looking for. If anybody's seeing any ranges or, markets, if you want to give me some ranges, let me know. I'm open. I'm definitely open.
Oblige the woman, market. Let's go. No, Pretty Panda talking about CGC, canopy growth, guys. Chart. On the day here, and all of marijuana. Katina, man, you're in a mood. I like it.
For some more primer.
Okay. Well, let's go to the. Yeah. Well, this is part of being in broadcasting. You got to do this kind of stuff. Laura Mercier. Anybody who's got the hookup on primer for Laura Mercier, get at the Katina man, baby. He'll be. Yeah, he'll be happy about that. All right. Guys, CGC, another good day for these weed stock guys. They're all in the green. MSOS and MSOX included. Both 2% plus at the moment right now. But let's talk about the actual equity names. CGC, do we have a headline? Quickly looking, no, we do not. So nothing here, but we know it's an election year, and, there typically is a little bit of action with marijuana names during these election years. Great bull flag looking pattern. Thank you, Pretty Panda, for pointing this out. I don't know if you meant it because it's a bull flag pattern, but this is what I look for here. This is the consolidation range. We have a bit of a bottom being formed. It looks like it's forming at 8 1/3. If you can weasel a dip trade into 8 1/3, that could be profitable here for a possible continuation. But keep in mind that this is not a small cap gapper. It is an established name, even though it's, it's sub 1 billion. It's 793 million market cap. What I mean to say, Ram, is this 10 moving average over here, which is the green solid line on my chart, it looks as if it's acting as the area of support. So if you're not inclined to wait for that 8 2/3 to come in, maybe a dip trade at the 10. What is your ultimate goal though, right? Because your goal here has to be predicated on a breakthrough 9, right? Otherwise, you're playing the range in the consolidation area of the flag. You're getting long 865, and then you're getting out like 890, high 880s. Otherwise, you need to be looking for the bull flag continuation. And we know from the textbooks that the bull flag continuation is measured from the breakout area of the pole to the top of the consolidation area, and then you project that from the breakout, if the breakout manifests, onwards. So you take that price range from the first part that I just talked about, and then you project it forward. So by definition, this has to break through 9. I don't know if we get a breakthrough 9 today, seeing as we're already up 11 and a fifth without a headline. So I'm just trying to put things into perspective. In addition to that, we are making lower highs right now on both the price and the RSI. The RSI all has lower highs coming out of that oversold territory into a print of 60 currently. This is the 5-minute look. And what you're wondering over here, this is the volume profile. It just shows you where the volume is taking place, at what price, okay? So that is what that is. Now, I have a dip trade set up here on META. It's been there for a bit. It's sitting at $492. $492. I'm just in front of it. The whole point is to play this range that, for whatever reason, has taken place here on Meta in the last, I want to say, almost 45 minutes, maybe close to an hour. So we've kind of been ranging with 495 as a top, and to the low side, about 492, give or take. So it looks as if, it's going to miss me this time around, but I'm not going to chase this stock. I want to get the dip. I'm talking about dollars here worth of range. So to me, this makes sense to try it. Now, if 492 doesn't hold, what's my out? Simple. The break of this trough. So what I'm looking for here is a break of, say, 491.5. So I'll risk 50 pennies to ideally make 2. I'm looking for a dip trade here on META Adair.
Yeah, We're going to take a second here to thank our sponsor here at Kalshi. Have you ever wanted to trade on events that directly relate to companies and the economy? Kalshi is the first legal financial exchange in the U.S. where you can bet on any event. Ever wondered if TikTok will be banned, how many cars Tesla will ship this quarter, or what a new movie's Rotten Tomatoes score will be? Now you can use Kalshi to put your predictions to the test and trade on what you really know. Visit kalshi.com/tradertv to sign up today and grab a $20 bonus after depositing $50 exclusively for the first 500 people using promo code TraderTV. It's easy to get started. Choose an event, like whether Boeing will have a new CEO this year, currently priced at 76%. Buy 100 shares at 76 cents, and if Boeing announces a new CEO by the end of the year, you can cash out $100 on your $76 bet. Don't just watch the news, profit from it. Join Kalshi's 100,000 users and dive into diverse markets, make your moves, and potentially profit from global events. Kalshi.com/TraderTV.live. Or TraderTV, sorry, Kalshi.com/TraderTV. But yeah, I think in terms of, so thank you very much to Kalshi for that. I also will take a moment here to, hopefully you get your meta. Hopefully you won't sweat on meta. But this iBit, I'm going to get back to CleanSpark in a moment because thank you to Smack Up My Bid in the chat mentioning CleanSpark to me when I was looking for ranges. But iBit is coming in a bit, and I'm pleased as punch.
Nice.
We're trying to get 97s here. I like this area because look where we had a little bit of resistance earlier. It was for support earlier, so I do not want to count it out. And you might say, Adira, you could hold a piece for the dream. And I say, when I don't scalp, things get bad. So just for myself. So we're going to scalp this out here.
Nice. Kill it, Katina.
Shout out there to Sean there.
And you have a great trade on yourself there. Jeez.
Thank you. Thank you. Trying to take like 12 pennies on this. We're about a cent away. We're out. Also, CleanSpark, I did miss the short on this because I guess I was a bit caught up in my iBit, but I want to see what we do here. Look at this range earlier on this 2013 all the way up to 2036. Like, this is nice. If we rested this 2013 and it looks like we might, somebody's getting involved in this trade. So thanks again to Smack My Bid Up, because I do I like this potential range look here, but I want to wait till I get a nice point of entry before rushing to get involved. Affirm, what are you up to? Okay, you're just hopping and churning. You're off my mind. You were off my mind unless you bounce at 50s, in which case you were on my mind for a long, but you're probably going to be off my mind because you did send me into a Scotia existential crisis earlier. But it's all good. That's what trading's all about. Learning, growing, taking the punches, brushing that dirt off your shoulder, shout out to Jay-Z, and getting right back up. See, you were taking a bite out of an apple.
Yeah, I just have to set up for a little bit
worries,
on this.
I can keep talking.
Yeah.
Thank you there, Ivar. I wish my freestyle rapping game was money. I'm just spitting like hot, as Shree sometimes says, trying to spit some hot fire. Probably a little bit cold, or hot lines, sorry. Probably lukewarm lines. Definitely not a freestyler, but I do, I always say talk fast because the markets move quickly. So you got to keep up with these markets. TSLA, someone else was mentioning this was a decent range for me to look at, and I don't disagree, but again, I want to see a nice point of entry. I like this 90 EMA bounce, and I also like we had some chop and cheer in her earlier at the 540, so I want to see what happens. If we have this bounce, I'll take this up into 548, so it's what, like 8 pennies, I can take that, and then risk if we fall below 39. That's an okay risk reward, I'll take that, but it's not something I'm super feeling confident in. You want to trade that really gets your blood rushing, your juices flowing. You want to trade you feel confident in, and right now, honestly, the market's chopping and turning a little bit, so I'm kind of waiting for it to give me my impetus to get involved in any name. Also, thank you very much to Willis Silverthorne. Happy you're able to join with all of us today.
Yeah, it sounds good.
How to Apple?
Yeah, I got to get out there. I took too much size. I didn't actually mean to have that much size, so I had to flatten out that trade. Got in with the size that I wanted to here at the price that I want. Try to play this range here on AAPL. We'll see what we get. I mean, it's been an interesting day. There's a lot of price action at these levels over here. We had that big topping tail candle that went into 167 essentially. So we'll have to wait and see whether we're able to make it back into that level again. So we'll put the stop this level over here, and then yeah, so we'll see exactly if we're able to weasel our way into some profits on AAPL today. It's been an interesting day for Apple. It's been an interesting couple of days for Apple as we wait for their earnings towards I think it's the beginning of next month.
May 2nd.
May 2nd. Thank you for that. All right, so nice. We'll see if we can get a recovery here on APL, wetting our beak on some profits, but definitely not out of the clear yet. Now, keeping an eye on the future, Dan the Man Emmons was writing to me earlier there in the chat. I am short the NQ 17,592, stop 17,650 for a multi-day swing short on the NASDAQ. Shout out to you, Dan the Man Emmons there. Hope you print on that, brother. Let me know how you do. All right, keeping an eye on the future because it looks like we did reject, at least for the moment, 17.6. We're below it right now, 17.591, multiple wicks into that level. So we'll have to wait and see whether or not we're able to reclaim 17.6, but it's been a great move up. We were in 17.3 territory today. So the fact that we're able to move up like that is already good in of itself. Are we long Meta yet? No, we still didn't get the long on Meta. So we'll continue to wait for that, Adair.
That's annoying that Meta's not letting you in.
I know. Usually the Cybertruck is the one closing the door, but that's
Meta, you better let Sharif get involved in that long. That's all we're saying. Also, yeah, I'm in these TQQs. I like this because we have that little bounce off the 90 MA, higher highs, higher lows. I like it right now. I'm happy I was patient too. I waited for my 53.01. If we break below 52.92, I'm getting out, so we're risking a very specific 9 pennies. And that was just based on levels, this kind of wick here to the downside. That's what I based that on. So I like this for now. What I don't like are these little bearish wicks to the upside. We saw this a lot yesterday too, where you have these candles that look bearish and the market's like, what do you mean patterns matter? And continue to the upside. So I really don't want to put too much stock, pun actually not intended, into this movement. I want to wait and see what happens. Right now we're about 5 pennies out of the money. Pretty small size here as I learn and grow. And I'm really happy with small size earlier when we were getting chopped and churned by a firm. So that's why I'm taking these smaller sizes for now, just to get comfortable being in the live trades, especially with earnings on the horizon, or not even on the horizon, they're here. Earnings are literally the poltergeist. They're here. So yeah, this is the time to get involved. Super excited to be live trading during earnings season for the first time. So that'll be certainly fun. TQs, I am positive on these for now. Dang. I don't like these multiple failures of 53.12. So if we fail 53.12 again, I'm cutting the cord there, getting out. But the piece for the dream will be this high of day around 53.19. So let's see what occurs there. Mahmoud saying short the TQs. I understand. I'm scalping this. I want to be very clear, right? If I'm in a trade, I would say generally, unless I say otherwise, the goal is probably to scalp. Because I don't like staying in moves long, and that's how I get chopped and churned, right? It's just, and I mean, Sean, Neil, Sharif can definitely take those longer moves. Other traders are very adept at that type of trading. It is not the type of trading for me. I'm just going to be really honest, and it's not how I structure my trade. So, and my thing is too, is I'm structuring for a scalp. I shouldn't be staying beyond when I'm welcome, right? Like if I RSVP to a party and say I'm leaving by 11 and I stay to like 12, that's not part of my plan. That's not part of the host plan. So I have to look at that with trading as well. I like it. That's going to be my analogy, right? That a firm really taught me something after me, existentially singing Billie Eilish in my head, to get back up, get back involved. Hey TQs, we're getting my 11s. We're getting out here. I'm pleased as punch. Nice. We're about 4 pennies away. So if you want to get that motion in the ocean, TQs, I will be very happy with you. That being said, I do want to acknowledge as well with Mahmoud saying the Qs could be short. I see what you mean, because we are really struggling making a higher high here above that 53.12, especially after the 2 wicks above. That's what makes me nervous in this trade right now, and why I set this at 11s, because I don't know if we're going to be able to have that move up that I really wanted. But if I'm planning for a scalp and I'm able to scalp 10 pennies and I'm risking like 9, I'm okay with that. So thank you for that. I don't
Very nice. That's a legit good trade.
Thank you so much.
And I want to echo your trade. I know a lot of people are looking short, but I got to tell you, we're still putting in higher lows with a flat top here on the future. So I don't think you're wrong necessarily. Just the fact that we're at 16.7, so we could keep weaseling away up into that level, and then it could be a rinse and repeat for a lot of people. Some people long, some people short. But I'm really feeling the heat on this one. NIVF, I missed out on this trade. I was just about to get in here at 55s, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen enough, but there goes without me right into the 70s. So this small cap gapper is continuing to give 110% on the day today, and now it's holding up at that beloved 10-period moving average here that we always use for these micro pullbacks on these small cap gappers. That is the solid green line. You'll see that double bottom right into the 10 period. But the closing prints on both these candles north of the 10 period, like as was the case over here at 10:55, what was the last time we dipped into that 10 period. But there's another small cap gapper that just made its way onto my scanner, and it goes by the ticker MTC. I'm not exactly sure what the, so MM Tech, a China-based company engaged in management services, $453 million market cap. The float on this is about 200 million shares. Do we have a headline? I don't have a headline for this one on my blotter. Maybe there is. Anyway, did a bit of a bigger move. 155 was the closing print. We got into 250, and now we're kind of retracing down into 2.25, trying to hold above VWAP. Be careful with this one. I feel like it's awfully sporadic without a headline, and the volume also is a little bit suspect. It comes and goes. You can see initially here there's a surge of volume. The volume completely runs dry as it consolidates below VWAP, and then the volume comes in right again to push this one above VWAP to test that previous high, but not quite breaking that 250 area. So MTC showing up here as an interesting one. All right. Let's flip to some of these large cappers. So Apple bamboozled me, okay? Let's just be real about it. I got in and I got out here on Apple. I was too tight with my stop. I had the right idea. This is a bit of a range trade. I should have given it a bit more room. It's never going to be exactly where you thought it was going to be, especially with these large cappers that are being traded by everybody and their mother's cousin. How many shares? Apple's done 18 million shares. So you have to assume that there's going to be violations of your levels, and that's typically what you get here. Anyway, I think this level is still in play on Apple, so I'll be looking to get short here towards the top end of the range. The top end of the range for me, for the most part, is that 166 2/3, but it does, you know, have the tendency to break like it did over here and take you all the way almost into 167. So you're going to be ready for these outlying events on AAPL. Definitely a nice little flat top over here. It could be a rinse and repeat trade, both long and short on Apple. Let's keep an eye out on this one there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still seeing lots of comments here in the chat about what the Qs are going to do. So I'll show the QQQs, although I am trading the TQQs. So we're kind of having this little waffly movement around that 9 EMA. And I think Trader's probably right. If you want to scalp this, and again, not advice, but just what the chart's doing, there's probably some scalp opportunities in either direction. I just decided to say sayonara and get out because I'm noticing that we are struggling continuously with that 53.10 and not in a way that gives me confidence in a range, more in a way that makes you think we're going to break down, and I don't want a part of that. And then also, though, too, the thing is, as Shreve said, we're still making higher lows as well. So it could also, if you get in a short, it could bamboozle you. Yeah. So I just honestly don't feel comfortable either way. And if again, it'd be one thing, too, if I felt comfortable in the setup, right? But I don't feel comfortable in the setup. At this point, I would be forcing myself into this trade, so I don't want to do that. CLSK, though, he's getting kind of spicy. Oh, let's look at CLSK. So I was looking at this at 30s, and I was toying with either going long, because that was that base earlier, or short, and I couldn't make up my mind. By the time I was still deciding and decided to break down, so I was like, cool, you made up your mind, CLSK. This level that I like, though, is going to be short 13s. That was a huge support area earlier. I watched this fiddle around. We were trying to get above 13s. We can't. I'm going short 13s here. We'll short 12s. Nice. We'll short 12s. 2012s, that takes me back. That was, what a year, 2012. But yeah, so I'm trying to short these 2012s here. And then I'm going to be trying to get at least what we do at VWAP. I am nervous because we are seeing higher highs, higher lows, but I did like that rejection. So that's really the plan here. And we're going to give this like 2020s. We're going to give this like 8 cents just because this was a huge area earlier and it's not what I want to mess with. We know how quickly these crypto-associated stocks can run. We know how quickly stocks can run in general, right? So I want to be very, very cautious, very hesitant, keep this one in a very tight leash. But hopefully this clean spark will have a clean move to the downside and we'll have a clean trade. But I see someone pumping his fist.
Yeah, I avenged my trade on Apple. I know you like saying that, so I said it feels nice. But that was the whole idea. We kept talking about this 166 2/3 on AAPL. It's a range. You needn't be the NOS boss or Steve Gomez to be able to see this bad boy over here. But this is an obvious range here on Apple. Got short 166.70, wet my beak there into 45s on 3 outs. So sized up a little bit more on this one, quite frankly, too, because It's just a rinse and repeat range. Now, like I finished saying, you're going to get these outlying events, right, when you get a 167 touch, but you're not going to get that on every one. You're going to get, I don't know what the data point is, 1 every 4, 1 every 5 on a range, but you're going to get these ones. So it's not going to be as simple as doing it every single time, because the algos will make you pay. And typically this is what happens. You move up into 167, but for the most part, the range is in play. And that's why I took this one. I mean, I would have had a profitable trade here too, but I was just being too stupid about it, too tight. You're keeping the stop too tight. And so I loosened up a little bit of the stop over here, and it rewarded me. So Apple right back down. We'll keep playing that range so long as it allows us to. The other trade that we keep talking about, META, and I did cancel my order on this bad boy. I was sitting at 492.05 to play the range as well. But I got to tell you one other thing here. If 16.7, we give up the ghost on 16.7 with vigor, and by I mean, like, you know, we get a nice flush into, say, let's see, what's the top end of the range there? 17.525, right? We give up 75 points or so off that level. Then, you know, we're not going to be looking for the range trade on some of these Mag 7 names much longer. It's probably going to be a retracement off the move up. And a lot of them are very strong on the day. You have Tesla 2%, Amazon 0.8, Google 1.5, Apple 1/3, Meta 2 1/3, Softy 1.5, Nvidia 3 2/3. So there is room to retrace here. There is a good amount of room that we've, good amount of movement to the high side that we've already had on the day. So anyway, Meta is still within that range. I think I may have to move up if I want to play this range on Meta, and we don't give up the ghost on 17.6. Then I'm going to have to move up my range because it's coming into 492 less and less. The bottoms seem to be a little bit higher every time. I'm talking about 492.5, 492 and 1/3. So I'm going to have to move it up off the 05s area if I want to get involved here on Meta. But I'll have to wait for it to come down into that level again. I want to mention one other thing here. We just mentioned Amazon was up 0.75%, but look at that nice retracement there, V-shaped retracement off that dip down to 176. It actually broke 176 on the day, 175.98, and now we're knocking the door of 178.50. So that is another interesting look. And I want to bring in one thing over here. I made this yesterday, and I don't know if you guys can screenshot it, do whatever you want. So I'm going to chart the Mag 8 and yes, I'm making up my own thing. The Mag 8. I'm going to chart the Mag 8 every night, and then I'm going to come in the morning, and there are other data points in the morning that you don't have at night. And the reason is I want to focus almost entirely on dip trading momentum, but using pullbacks to get into entries. And so if I'm going to get into these pullbacks, I need to really know the key levels of support and resistance. So here's what I've done, and you guys can, you know, augment this, use it as you want, whatever. So I've put in the data points that I want: previous day high, previous day low, and the previous day close. That I can do tonight. Then in the morning, you come in and you want the pre-market high and low and these are only Mag 8. I want to know if it was gapping up, so what the gap is with no pre-market action. So what the close at 4 p.m. was yesterday and the open at 9:30 a.m. was today. And if there's a gap in between that, I want to know about it. So I'll chart that. I want to know where the 50 EMA is, and I want to know where the 200 EMA is. Specifically, I want to know where they are on the 5 and the 15 and the daily. So I'm going to make a little bit more of room for those. VWAP obviously comes after the bell has rung because I'm not going to use the pre-market. My long or short bias, and then I have a big area here for key areas of support and resistance, and then RSI and Bollinger Bands as well. What are they doing? So I'm using this whole thing over here to kind of help me locate my dip trades. I got into the sim this morning. So when I logged in this morning, I got into the sim. And I used these levels to set up dip trades on the sim to see, you know, I'm going to do this for a while, for, you know, a month, couple of months, whatever, to figure out what my hit rate, what's my accuracy on these using these levels and the dip trade methodology within either range trading or momentum trading. So I'm going to try this. If you guys want to try this, let me know as well. But these are the data points that I'm going to be collecting and basing My trade's off. I'm going to do that every night just for the Mag 8, though. Is that a thing, Mag 8? We can make it up.
People are liking it in the chat. Yeah.
Like
Yeah, but I like it. I think that's really cool, and I thank you for going over that as well, because I mean...
Well, Netflix is such a monster. We can't keep disrespecting Netflix like this. Right, it's retraced a little bit now, which is fine. Everything's a healthy pullback, but it's still a monster.
No, it is. It's been a nice move, and I think too it'll be really interesting to see what this one does with regards to how they've changed their reporting. Now they're not talking about subscriber count, so I think that could be very interesting indeed. Also interesting, yeah, this has been, I don't know what it is about this. This has been my worst day so far, but I mean, I say so far. We're like not even a full hour into the How to Trade show, right? So there's opportunities, there's times to improve, and I also think I need to trust my instincts better. CleanSpark. I was yakking, I was waxing poetic, I was, you know, about that 2013 support, and I took it short because initially we were failing it, and that worked for a little bit. Then I added because I noticed we were having a struggle and a half with this 2017 area, so I added, and then the second I get in, it swoops back to the upside, right? So I don't know, it's certainly, it's just been my timing and my instincts have just not been on 100% today. I'm gonna be really, really honest. We're still not down. I've been taking really small size and I've been very cognizant and careful with my trades, you know, watching over them. So proud of how I've managed things, but not proud of like the entries and everything, right? So I just need to be going back to basics, looking for some range trades. I should have even taken this 2030 short because I was talking about that earlier and I didn't. So yeah, it's all good, all good. Always here to learn, not here to get too down and out. But also, I will be taking this in video long, I think, because we have these higher lows. And this was an area I initially took short earlier today, but I do think it has a little bit of oomph to the upside. And yeah, we're going to get involved. We're getting involved. There we go. That's the one thing, too, is just like if I, you know, trying not to get so discouraged, because if I see something I like and I don't get involved because other things have gone awry, that's about those other trades. That's not about this trade. That's me taking it out on a stock that doesn't deserve it. You know what I mean? Aww. Because it's not the stock's fault. It was whatever mistake I made with the previous trade. It's entirely internal. It has to do with me. So I think just separating those, getting involved in new trades if I see things I like, I think to be pretty important as well. Jay Lee also agreeing there with your decision to enter or include Netflix there because of its market cap. CLSK, I love finding Mr. Pockets, saying there's clear support and resistance at 2025. Yeah, I like that 2030 area, but I think you're right about 2025. That being said, if we bounce at this 2010, this is my opportunity to avenge. Not revenge, avenge. If we get that bounce, I don't know, I got short at clear support because I thought it was reversing, but if we bounce, we have to go long here, I think.
Right.
I think I owe it to myself, but I'm gonna wait here until it actually shows me something I wanna see. Right now, we're a dash of pennies, a skosh of pennies in the money here on NVDL. So let's try to turn this into an NVDW.
I like
on that
it.
stock.
Okay,
Thank you.
Shout out Jay Lee. The boring man, you could use Excel that populates the data for the Mag 8 if you import from Trade Ideas or Benzinga. Thank you. And great little segue there for two of our sponsors. So shout out to you, boring man. Maybe we need to get you on the payroll, brother. Manuel Palma, Roblox holding up at VWAP. I got eyes on it right now, 36.76, the volume weighted average price. So keep your eye on that. Roblox doing things today after it got the nod from a couple of rating agencies. Day Trader Cut. Can we add FSR? You got to remember, it's FSRN now, Day Trader Cut. And make it the Mag 9? Ha.
That was good.
Poor Fisker, man. I hate to beat them while they're down. Marquise Brownlee already did that. Yeah, he got heat
He released an apology video, but he didn't apologize.
Hold on, did you see that little AI thing?
Yeah, that was
about that. And
he
destroyed it. Like, that company may not make it because of Marquis. Yeah, he's killing it. I love him. I subscribe to his channel and I like everything that he reviews. He's so fair. And, you know, if the company doesn't make it,
that's what he said.
They don't make it. I'm sorry, but he's fair.
Yeah, no, I liked his response too, because he said, you know, I'm not going to apologize for honest reviews. Yeah. And he said, you know, of course, the timing. He said, I've given lots of great reviews and bad reviews. It's just the timing of Fisker and that humane AI, he said, was obviously, that's why people are talking about this now. But, you know, he said, like, the point of a review is I don't want to deceive customers, right? I'm going to give my honest, it's a really
people
worth watching
spend
video.
their money on this, true.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And can I say one thing? He also gives the company pointers. He says, if the company did this, this, and this, I think it would be a lot better. So he's not just hating for the sake of hating.
No, and he doesn't hate that much. Like, I was going through some of his other videos because I wasn't as familiar with him, and he is a good reviewer.
Yeah,
and I think
he is.
watching his response video as well, I would highly recommend to people because his response video is super super measured.
Oh, I
and
didn't
I think
see
gives
that.
It's super worth
Yeah?
watching. Yeah, he talks
I'm
about
gonna
the
watch
humane
that.
thing and the Fisker thing, and I think it talks about a lot of what you said as well. Bad reviews don't kill companies. Bad companies kill companies. So
Straight up.
I'm not. That's not what he said. I'm paraphrasing, but
Yeah, I figured,
I would
yeah.
say it's definitely worth checking out if you're interested. in that stuff.
Neil astutely pointing out in the chat there, our favorite pseudo Liverpool fan, Neil, putting Lily is 3 times the market cap of Netflix, just saying. Absolutely accurate. And that's one thing I definitely need to keep eyes on and give more respect to, man. These GLIP ones, they are the real deal. And yeah, I should probably look into that a little bit more. Thank you, Neil, for pointing that out. Let's see what else everybody's saying here. Yeah, I see you, Jay. I see you there as well. Richardson, €5.99 super chat. Thank you very much, Richardson, for that. What's up, my beautiful traders? Hope everyone is doing great today. Just here to say a quick hello and wish you all most beautiful success. Dang, son. Can we like that one even more? I liked it. Oh, you can like the super chats now. Did you notice that? I didn't really know that.
That's new.
That's new, eh? Very nice, very nice. Okay, so shout out to Richardson. Thank you very much. And I like the good juju that you're throwing everybody's way. Good vibes. You're like the Katina man. Good vibes, Katina. All right, I've set up a dip trade here on AAPL. I'm looking at the volume weighted average price on Apple. So this one will be a quick scalp trade. I'm hanging out. Where am I hanging out? I'm hanging out at 16s. I may have to move that up a smidge as the VWAP is not static. It is dynamic and it moves with the price action. So whether or not we get filled here, an entirely different story. But this range trade on Meta is just staring at me in the face. Wowzers. Ooh. Look at this. Excuse me. 495, the extreme top of the range. And this range has been in place since 1040. So we're going about an hour and 20 minutes now. And the low end of the range is 492. It doesn't always make it down into 492, I would say that it's really ranging best with the volume weighted average price. In fact, most of the closing prints, save and except for this outlying, these 2 outlier candles here, have closed north of the volume weighted average price. You do get your wicks into that 492.5, 492.33, but this is a range trade here on META for anybody who is interested. I may participate in this one. I've been trying to get in at 492, but it hasn't been filling me, so I'll have to be a little bit more aggressive if I want to get involved on whatever Meta has to offer today in terms of range. Eddie R., do we have an auction today? Shout out to you, Eddie. Good question. Let me just go into, Adara does this every morning, so she probably already knows, but I'm just going to go into.
I don't think there is one.
There isn't, okay. So we'll have a look here. So we do, it's a small one though, Adara. It's a 2-year note, right? We have that bad boy typically, as we always do, at 1 o'clock. So we'll keep an eye on that. The 2-year is one that I follow. Right? The 2-year is very important for me anyway. It's been knocking on the door of 5%. The futures contract on the 2-year has been knocking on the door of 5% for a while now, currently trading at 4.925. It's down 0.4% on the day. So we'll see how it is met with bond investors. So that's the only auction we have today. Big Kyle Burdett, NVIDIA, I now have a decent-sized short position. Shout out to you, Kyle. I see here NVDA on the way down. It just broke the 10 and the 20 period moving averages and the whole dollar level at 20. So there's this pseudo-looking, I don't even want to call it pseudo. It is a kind of a double top-looking pattern over here with the top being, you know, it's an $800 stock, so this could be a bit of a range. 825 to 827. The neckline here being the middle point, the area where I would say you've confirmed the double bottom is the break of that 810. No, sorry, excuse me, 818. What am I saying? 818. If you can break that, that's a fantastic looking move down. You also have VWAP at 816.5. So be on the lookout for that. Shout out to you, Kyle. I hope you absolutely print on that, my man, Kyle. Dan Emmons says, yes, the 2-year. It's a huge quantity today. Shout out to Dan, the man Emmons, letting us know what's up. The Big Kyle's also short Tesla at 245. Let's have a look at TSLA. Kind of a similar pattern, Kyle, to NVIDIA. Both kind of looking double top-ish. Obviously different areas here. 146 or 145 and a quarter, or sorry, 3/4 seems to be the top here, the high end of the range for the double top. On Tesla, but again, we haven't got confirmation by breaking the middle part of the M here. And last time around, we did dip off the volume weighted average price for TSLA. 144 definitely held as a level of support. Look at this area here too, Kyle. So you may want to wet your beak on some profits if it makes its way down to VWAP, owing to that crest that we put in earlier in the pre at 143.75, 144-ish, seems to be acting as a level of support for the moment. Hope you print on that, my man, goes without saying. Eddie R. Benzinga had an unusual option call bullish on HIBB last Friday. Look at HIBB now. Somebody knew something, and then multiple has. Hey, what's that, Neil? He's like, Neil said with the deal, it's almost like somebody always does. So Neil knows a lot more about this stuff than I do, so I'm going to take what he says as, you know, I'm just going to take it. So let's have a look at HIBB. Is that the one that the boys were trading today? Is that the buyout that everybody was trading today? Okay. So this is, I heard a lot of guys today trading this buyout. That is a proprietary trade that we have here on the floor. Obviously not one that we do on the show. Goes for obvious reasons because there's not a lot of excitement behind it. But this is the 5-minute look. Let's have a look at the daily. Yeah, there's your big move up. Shout out to you, Eddie R. Looks like it was a big gap up there from the 73 or 72 in the third close, gapping up well over 85 bucks there. Yeah. Good look. YD says Google short. Okay, we'll have a look at that in a second. Bryce says, what do you think about SoFi going into earnings? It spiked 3% today and has a range of 675 to 950. I'm going to give that to Adara because she's been trading SoFi well with big Kyle Burdett's guidance there. So Adara, how do you feel about SoFi while I have a look at Google?
Yeah, I'm just gonna quickly get out on my clean spark, but yeah, I think that
do your thing.
SoFi's been a nice look. I have to say one thing I do want to say with regards to this SoFi is right now, I think if you want, I want to play this range now, and I do see there's been a bit of a range here. I would have to take it probably with more shares than I'm comfortable with. It's a nice look. We had this big move up here. Now we're kind of hanging out near VWAP. This also could look like, you know, you talk a lot about VWAP high of day break. This is not a small cap SoFi, but I do like the way we're clinging to this VWAP. Bottom here about 743, top about 746. But again, the share size you'd have to take with this is just not my bag. Also, I am out of clean spark. I have some trades to talk about after. This is just, I think we're going to need some coffee. I think the issue was my brain. It needs a little bit of coffee because I was like trying to figure out why this trading today has not been the vibe. And I think I am like a little bit slower than the market today. But I see your base here that you're talking about, the 7 or the 690, I guess, into 750. I totally see what you mean. The thing is too, generally though, if we go back a little bit, we are seeing kind of, for the most part, this trend, this downtrend in SoFi, then we'll make this move back up and then another downtrend, right? So I think what we need is a decisive move up here. And you mentioned that range. I think a clear break above the range, if we break above that 790. This is an area I remember waxing poetic about with SoFi a while ago too, because I think it's also worth noting because that range you identified is also the bottom of a previous area. So that's support becoming resistance. I think if you can say, hey, 760, hey, 790, break above those with a swiftness, I think that would be a great look for SoFi. So I think that's really going to be interesting to see what we do there. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of my look on SoFi going into earnings. I think it'll be kind of interesting. It is a stock I trade on a day basis. Again, shout out to Kyle Burdett for helping me with that one. But it's not one I know a lot about fundamentally. I want to see what we do around VWAP though, because this could get a little bit spicy. Also, we had another chat here earlier. Thank you to Coffee Trader, member for 21 months. Adara, how many days have you been live trading? Are you overall profitable or no? Just wondering. So I've been trading for 6 days, today notwithstanding, so this is my 7th day. The previous 6 days, I was profitable 5 of them. Right now, I'm down on the day. But like I said, I think coffee is needed, and I want to explain, because I know I kind of hinted at the whole, why I was saying the coffee thing. I want to explain why. So we were in, what trade was this? We'll get into that after though, because right now, Neil is here for his lesson of the day.
Bang.
This segment of the show and this lesson of the day brought to you by Alfonso AI. Want to beat the market? Then you need Alfonso's AI-powered stock ratings. Their top picks have surged over 100% since October 22nd. Scan the QR code, which should be up hopefully in a second. Get 50% off. We'll get that for you guys. But I got a question for you. To re-enter or not to re-enter? That's the question. And a lot of times, you're in a trade, and there's a lot of things that can happen. You could get in, and it could lose, and then it sets back up. You could get in, you could win, and then you still like the trend. You could get in, you could win, and then it comes back to re-entry price. Sometimes there are styles of trade that it's one and done, hit it and quit it, set it and forget it, all these different adjectives and like lines I like to throw out there, and you've heard me say this time and time again. However, there are other instances where maybe you want to go back to the well. And it's easier to go back to the well after a win than it is a loss. It's easier to go back to the well if it presents you the exact same trade as before. It's not always as simple if you've just taken a hit on the stock. But I want to go through all three of these scenarios for you because I think it's important when you're trading, especially if you're an active trader, to have this in your repertoire. So I'll give the first example, and I'm going to talk about ARM today because it's the one that sets up the best. It's not always about whether I've done it or not. I'm going to show you a perfect example where I didn't get back in on a losing trade. I'm going to give you an example where I didn't take something twice and where I think you can. So ARM, for a couple of reasons, was a fade. Now, the first was failing $100 a couple of days ago. So we wanted to short, ideally back into 100. It ends up setting up at 98 at this particular moment here at 98 when all of the chip names are making fresh highs, NVIDIA is making new highs, SMCI is making new highs, the market's trying to press highs, and this busts to 98. It then gives this rejection of the higher low. So market continuing to go higher, and it rejects the top. Now, typically speaking, that's an entry that I'm going to take 9 times out of 10. Now, obviously, you're not going to see me in that trade. However, if you get this trade into VWAP, what I want to get at is what happens when you're presented with the exact same setup over again. You should just take it again. So when it rejects this wick here, if you're entering this trade and scalping it to VWAP, then when it comes back and does the same thing and wicks another one, you get back in, scalp to VWAP, and hold. In this particular case, you're taking profit both times in here. If it continues to hold that range, you're just scalp trading it all day long, which is great. That is an easier thing to do. That said, it's the kind of trade that you should try to sink yourself into. I only had it the one time. Fair enough. It would have been better if I grabbed it a second. Sometimes it gives you 3, 4, 5. You never really know. And if it's going to go side range bound and you've got a good level, you want to take advantage of it. That's the easier way to re-enter a trade. We typically call that reloading the trade. When you're reloading it, you're generally doing the same thing that you liked the first time. You're not necessarily making an entirely new trade. The other instance where you're taking the same trade can be, well, what happens if it doesn't work? And this is an important one because if I look at the ideas and, in the afternoon show, I mentioned that I really liked a breakout on Coinbase at 228. Actually, as a matter of fact, we said this last week too. So if you look at Coinbase in the breakout, let's be real about this. There's your consolidation. There's your higher lows into the 228 break. We mentioned we liked it last week. It didn't break it on Monday. Tuesday comes. 65,000 is holding on Bitcoin. Everything is lined up. It's going to make the breakout trade. The initial break on Coinbase was clean like $1.40, $1.50, depending on what you took on a 228 break. Now, I have a style of trade on a breakout. It's like go right away, or I'm finding a different setup, either a dip back into previous support levels, or maybe a VWAP retrace, but it becomes a separate trade after the fact. So that initial breakout doesn't work. This is an example where if it sets up a trade off the same level that's that important, after a loss, you just got to buckle up and get back in. It's never fun to go back into a name after a loss, but you've got to remember a couple of things here. One, it's a significant price level with a lot of room to the upside. They got a huge gap to resistance at the next resistance level isn't until you get into almost the 40s, maybe even the 50s. So there's a lot of room for it to run. You've got a multi-day price level break. The volatility the day before, when it didn't break the level, you had like a $12 range. Bottom to top here was really just half that. So you got a lot of room if 228 holds. And then what happens after the out? Patiently, 228 holds. And I'm not saying you got to hold this trade forever, but if you get wicked out, sometimes the job is to get right back in if it's just a run of stocks. And this is important because if it's an A+ setup or an A setup or whatever it might be, and you really, really like it, if all that happens is a run of stops for the obvious trade, and then immediately the trade's back to being valid, you want to jump back into that trade. It's never a fun thing to do to get into the same position, get in the same stock after you've taken a hit, but your original idea just set right back up. And that's not going to happen to you most times. Oftentimes, you miss out on a trade, the market's not going to give it back to you. And so when it does, you do want to take that second shot at it. That's why I wanted to show you Coinbase, because it'll be frustrating in that moment. But trust me, it's more frustrating if you don't at least get back in. If I get back in when it sets up perfectly for that same level to continue the long, and it doesn't work, I can live with it because I know I took a high upside trade and it was worth the shot. But when you don't take the shot at all, you should be frustrated. And I think that's something you got to work into. The wick in, wick out, times there'll be obvious levels, and the bigger they are, algos or whomever are going to want to run stops at these price levels. And if it does happen to you, recognize it, and sometimes those are the best trade. Why? Because you've relieved some of the pressure. If less people are holding the short-term long, that's less people, that's fewer people on the offer on the way up. So it actually makes that better the second time through. The other side of it is when you reject that, you might trap some shorts in a situation like that. Both those factors sometimes make that re-entry better, even though you're working off the same level. So you get a weird situation where you might be down on the stock, but the original thesis you have not only is still valid, but it's actually setting up a little bit better. And it behooves us to take those A+ setups any chance that we can get. The other thing that you got to consider is the continuation of the trend trade. And there's a lot of ways that can manifest. Okay, great. You like a 228 breakout, but if it's trending higher, I think this is a little bit easier for people to comprehend. If it makes the break and you've taken your profit from station to station, let's just say you like 228, it had a $6 range before, you're getting out here at 234, right? So yesterday it was $12 range, sorry. As you're already gone 6 at the breakout, you go another 6 to 234, you're going to be out. So what do you want to do after that? You want to look for buy the dip in as long as it's still going up. So you have a situation here where 234 would have been your out. Like I said, previous range $12. It goes $12. It then holds on the way back at that same 34 level. So you look for a long here to there, get one more stretch out of it. And that's the kind of thing that makes sense to a lot of traders. But how many times do you see a trend trade where you're like, you just rest on your laurels all day long, making one entry? Now, oftentimes I'll reload and it'll work out. Sometimes you'll reload and it doesn't. That said, you want to stick with it. I had Roblox for a 37 break. Reload the 37. It goes 20 cents. It loses 20 cents. But then what happens? Holds VWAP once, holds VWAP a second time, and now it's back with the trend into the upside. And again, you like the long in a stock. It makes the breakout. It sets you up for a reload trade, and you just go ahead and take it. Now, following the trend with an idea that you already liked is sometimes the lowest hanging fruit. You can take one win on a good idea, or sometimes if you follow the trend, you can take 3, 4, 5 wins. Now, everyone's going to be different. If you have direct market access, you're going to make more trades. So if you're with real trading, it's an easier thing to do. Otherwise, stick with the other two. It's important, very, very important, that we don't miss opportunities because we just happen to hit a trade and win and we leave it and forget it. Or we hit a trade and it loses, but then it's a perfect setup on the same stock. You don't want to miss those opportunities because you only have so many good ideas out there. Leverage them, make sure you stick with them, adhere to your risk plan, and then if you happen to have the continuation follow the trend, that is great as well. So to get in or not to get back in, that's always going to be the question. But if it's still showing you the A+ setup that it did before, buckle up and just put that trade on because you got to take your winning setups. That's the lesson of the day.
All right, guys, we are brought to you by Alfonso AI. Alfonso's adaptive AI predicts the best times to buy and sell stocks, helping you increase your odds of generating alpha. Join now and get 50% off the Pro monthly subscription using code TRADER50. Scan that QR code and download the app today. Shout out to the good folks there at Alfonso AI. Thanks for that, Ram. While Neil was dropping the daily hotlines, we got in a hell of a trade here on goggles. waited for that retracement into the 20 period. Remember we talked about the 20 period being the deeper retracements, the more shallow retracements on an uptrend come into the 10. I used that thesis to get into this, and we printed nicely here on goggles. Waited for that 20 period to come in. The 20 period is the yellow solid line on my chart. Here it is reflected on the trading screen. Got in there at 30, wet my beak at 50, and then took everything out at 75. Happy with this trade. GOOGL, a great day for Google today, up 1.5% after, a bit of a tougher week last week there. Goggles, HOD right now, it's trading at highs. 158.80 is the high, and it's doing things. All right, before we get into the lesson, again, I want to point out that this meta range, the bamboozlement is real in the market, okay? If you're not ready for bamboozlement on a daily basis, trading probably not the profession you want to get into. Now, we kept talking about 495 being the top end of the range here on meta since essentially 20 to 11. The low end of the range generally was the volume weighted average price. There are obviously wicks below that level. But then that level, we gave up the ghost aggressively because we moved up here into 495 3/4. So if you had your stop anywhere, 50 pennies, anything less than 75 pennies, you got stopped out here on this latest move up if you had your dip short at 495. So meta changing a little bit here. Now, do we start looking for the rounded bottom? We've been holding up at VWAP. We're up 2 3/4 on the day here on META. Now we're starting to curl. Is this the rounded bottom that the NOS boss always talks about? We need more data. We can't judge from these candles over here. And I gotta tell you one thing. If I'm to base it on this 1 5-minute candle alone, this looks awfully fake out, breakout-ish. So we'll continue to watch, see what meta gives us, if anything, at these levels. Also, AAPL, I told you guys I'd be taking a dip trade at the volume weighted average price on Apple. I looked over to the Katina man because he's been involved in this name all day. I want to get his look on it. And he's like, look, man, it's a decent level, but I just don't know if you have that much upside. And I happen to agree. These, candles look a little bit weak at the moment on Apple. I'll need to see something a little bit different to get involved. But I've got that level, in my sights. Anything you want to discuss before we start the lesson, Adair? I see a whole bunch of triangles there.
Yeah, I think this is, it's today, like I said, has been really hard for me. It has not been my day. And I think it's hard too because the previous few days I've been live have gone well. This was just not it. And I think the biggest thing is just trying to stay focused, trying not to be too hard on yourself and still trying to finding, if you like a trade, still take it, right? Like I'm still getting involved in things I'm liking, they're just not working out. So just staying positive, as much as that is kind of a cliche, I think something really key is the thing I am learning today from these here markets that I am excited to hopefully grow from. Because this is today, good times. Yeah. Appreciate that.
All right, couple of things I want to, there you go. I want to mention a couple of headlines here for the dead one. Apple announces event on May 7th amid reports of new iPad model launches. So keep your eye out for May 7th. iPads to me are not big market-moving product launches anymore. It's not 2010 anymore, right? No, it really isn't though. I wouldn't get unless there was something fundamentally different about it. Yeah. So that's coming May 7th. Be on the lookout for that as well. Another Apple headline coming in here. Apple closed to deal with FIFA over TV rights, reports Yahoo Finance. Soccer's global governing body FIFA is close to an agreement with Apple to give the tech company worldwide television rights for a new month-long club tournament. The New York Times reports this is a club tournament, not the actual FIFA World Cup with countries. That's a bit different there. The deal with Apple could be announced as soon as this month and valued around $1 billion, a quarter of the $4 billion FIFA had first estimated. That's not really a good look there for FIFA. The potential agreement would give the company's streaming business an edge amid competition among streaming services providers to lap up rights for the widely watched sporting events. I just want to point that out to you guys. Some Apple headlines coming in there, whether they're entirely novel or a little recycled, you'll have to forgive me because once we're on the show, we kind of just see things as they come. So that is the look there. All right, let's get to the lesson du jour, baby. We are talking about pullback entries within the context of a bull flag, obviously. So buying on a discount in a bull flag setup, that's what we're talking about all week is bull flags. Different entries, obviously. We'll be talking about different days. So the bull flag beckons with its promise of a continued uptrend. I love this.
I love it.
But who wants to pay top dollar? I know I don't. Enter the pullback entry strategy where you aim to snag a long position at a potentially better price point within the bullish pattern itself. So here's a bit of a bull flag refresher, and forgive us if you hear the fire alarm. That fire alarm is running in the background. Nothing we can do about that. So the bull flag refresher, if you missed the lesson yesterday, imagine a bull taking a breather before a charge. That is the consolidation area of the bull flag. So you have that big move up. It's kind of like a vertical move up, and then you have a bit of a sideways consolidation. That's what characterizes the bull flag. A big move up, sideways consolidation, giving it its flag shape. The bull flag pattern reflects this on a chart. It forms after a price increase, followed by a period of consolidation within a defined range resembling a flag. This consolidation area can present an opportunity for a pullback entry, and that's what we're going to discuss today. So as you can see here, this is a bull pennant because it's a compression pattern, an equilateral triangle, and so when you have higher lows but lower highs after that big move up, that's what we call bull pennant. Not much different between the two except where the breakout area is. That's the only difference. Where we measure the breakout area varies between a bull flag and a bull pennant. So why a pullback entry? Why are we waiting for the pullback? Well, what's the advantage? First and foremost, obviously, if it goes your way, you're going to get a better price by waiting for the dip, right? So the pullback offers a potential entry point lower than the eventual breakout price itself, which helps maximize your potential profits. But there's also the confirmation aspect of it. The fact that we get that retracement and a key area of support holds during that consolidation phase of the bull flag is confirmation that the lower end of the range is being bought up by buyers. And so if you were looking for some sort of signal to say, well, I'm pausing for a bit, but I'm going to continue later, you could get, that bottom end and then have a tight stop right below that. So it gives you an element of confirmation to know that, likelihood is we're going to continue, but if we don't, I know where my risk ends there. So a minor pullback within the flag can act as confirmation of an underlying bullish sentiment. And here you go. What you typically get here is this is what a better look of the bull flags, the parallelogram. Man, I could not say that. Yeah, I still can't say it. Shout out to Jag back there trolling me. Yeah, but anyway, here, the idea is you're measuring from the low end to the top end, and then you're going to take this distance over here and then project it from the breakout area, and then that should be your profit target, and that's why it says TP, take profit. So that's the look there. Finding the pullback entry. So how do we find these bad boys? What are we looking for? So the first thing you can do is look for areas of support and resistance. Just because we have a bull flag that's pulling back into a range doesn't mean that that lower end of the range is not a previously defined area of support. So that's what you need to be looking for right away. Is there an area of support at the bottom end of this range from a previous level? If there is, great, put that check mark right there because it is what you're looking for. So look for horizontal lines on the chart where the price has previously bounced back off of. These support levels might act as a floor during a pullback, offering a better buying opportunity. But there's also ways to do it without key areas of support, and that comes with the fibs. What was that bull flag chart that we had from today?
Coin earlier, but
coin,
it broke.
perfect,
It broke
whatever.
down,
We can
though.
just kind of show a little bit of it over here. Here's the 5-minute look on our friend coin. Yeah, I mean, it's bouncing off VWAP. That's a hell of a bounce there on VWAP on coin. Jeez. All right, well, that's neither here nor there. Let's just use it for the bull flag and give you the example that I'm trying to give you. So if there was no VWAP area here to say, okay, this is going to be an interesting area to find support, what you could have done is you could go into your fib tool, drag it from the beginning of the price move to the top, and then you could see what percentage keeps coming back into play. Is it that 61.8% that keeps finding price support, or is it 50%? If it's even deeper, maybe it's a 38.2. The point is to see what it's jiving with. Don't go in there with any anticipation. Just go and see, let me draw my fib tools and then see where the price is basing out. Does it jive with any fib levels that are widely viewed? So that's your fib. And the price action, you can also observe how the price reacts at the bottom of the flag's range. Does it find buyers and bounce back up? This can indicate a potential pullback entry point. And so if there's no support, it's not jiving with the fibs, but there seems to be this area, a random area on the chart where you keep finding buyers stepping in and the price bouncing back off there. You don't need an explanation. You have price action confirmation. And I think, that should, in some circumstances, that should be enough to get into the trade if it repeats enough and it's obvious. So that is the look there. And here's another great chart from Adara here. There you go, a nice bull flag move up. You have the downward channel, which is the bull flag part of it. This is where your stop would be. This is your breakout, and then you're projecting this entire area here from here onwards, and that's where you take profit. And some beyond the basic stuff. While pullback entries seem like an attractive bunch, remember these key points. There are false breakouts, and they happen often. And the lower down on the time frame you go, if you come down from the daily to the hourly to the 10, the 15 minute, whatever, the lower down you go, the higher the failure rate. So keep your eye out for these false breakouts. Prices might test support, but then they absolutely break through. Be cautious and have confirmation signals ready, like, for example, looking out for increased volume before entering your trade. And patience is key, as it is with almost every different type of trade. Don't force the entry. Wait for the price action and the confirmation signs before pulling the trigger, and stick to your plan. If you have a dip trade, if your plan is a dip trade, stick to it, because if you deviate from that, you're introducing variables that you haven't accounted for. And risk management. Can't say this enough. Position sizing and stop losses. You need to make sure that you're using the requisite size to allow you to trade tomorrow. I mean, we're on a prop floor here, basically unlimited amount of money around this place. Obviously, you get in trouble if you lose a lot of money, but the point is, we're unlikely to blow up the account here, whereas at home, it is a realistic possibility. So make sure you are practicing sound risk management skills here.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, definitely be careful, especially in some of these breakout trades, because as that coin example, they're not always going to work out how you want. Is that for a trade or just for the money?
The cash stuff.
Yeah.
He's going to blow up here, bro. And bye.
I love how excited that cow is too, like running up, like that's like you're excited in a trade and then it just does not work out. I feel like I was that cash cow a couple times today, where you just think you have a plan, it does not go how you want it to, and then you just gotta like deal. Although he blows up, so like let's not do that as a people. But yeah, this is. I'm just trying to take things I like, but it's just, this is not the vibe. If anyone has any advice for just like dealing with instincts not being there, I would greatly appreciate it. Like, I think, you want to see a trade, you want to take it. As Sean says, a scared trader is a deficient trader, so I'm having ideas, I'm still getting involved, but these ideas are just, the ideas and I are not besties. I don't know. We're up on IBIT. We're up on TQQs, but we're down on the day. I think my timing has been off. Shout out to Jay Lee earlier in the chat saying something about, just sometimes the stuff isn't always going to work out, or I forget, I'm definitely paraphrasing, something about like, just reframing how you look at that, and I do appreciate it, but this has just not been my day. But you know what that means? Only way we can go from here is up. We're still not very much down. It's just, it is different trading live. And I feel like, I don't know what it is with me today in the market, but we're not besties. We're not seeing eye to eye. I'm not seeing things the way they need to be. But that's okay. That's okay. We're just ready to take these opportunities, take it, flip it, and reverse it. Shirini, I have been profitable this is my 7th day, so 5 of the 7 days. So yeah, generally I would say, yeah. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Especially if you're new.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I feel like this day's like shaking me up a little bit.
Can I tell you something? Like, I've heard like a lot of anecdotes working here for almost 2 years, right? And you hear stuff from traders like, this guy was red for 6 months in a row. to start, and then he became the most profitable trader on the floor. So yeah, everybody's journey is a little bit different.
like
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, I
Guys,
appreciate
Tesla just broke through that top end of the range with aggression and increased volume. Dang, Tesla. So this was the top end of the range, and that is resistance level 1 on pivots. Pivots on my chart are always the dotted colored lines. The solid lines are going to be moving average. The dotted lines are pivots. And we were, for whatever reason, rejecting off this 145.75, 145.80-ish. Yeah, I'm talking about Tesla. It just absolutely broke through that top right there with aggression and volume. So keep your eye on that. Finding a bit of a top right now at that 147.25. Let's see if it's able to hold on to that $1 level. What is going on there, Neil? Somebody's printing? The market's green, baby. Neil's in a good mood. He's like, yo, the market's green, everything's up. I'm hitting the green button. Shout out to Neil. I like that.
I don't have the longs that I wanted today.
It's all good. He's like, I don't have the longs that I want to, but I was just mentioning Coinbase actually, dude. You're kidding me. That Coinbase VWAP hold was money. Anyway, Tesla making big boy moves here through 147. Keep your eye on this one, but be careful. I'm long AAPL here, and we're nicely in the money as we get that VWAP hold. So this was the whole idea here on AAPL, was to wait for that VWAP to come in, and then it did the wick shimmy from the north side. Now, you've heard me talk about the wick shimmy for the future, and we talk about it happening from the north side or from the south side, and that kind of, really dictates how we look at the trade, whether long bias or short bias. And this was yelling at me, I'm getting bought up in front of 166, buy me, and there it goes to the high side, about 20 pennies in the money now here on AAPL. Let's see if we can get a nice move up.
Yeah, take those beak wetters. You are Tim Cooking, and I like that it was screaming by me. I like that. Well, you just dissed its iPad release launch, so it's actually pretty nice of it.
I like the iPads.
I know, but you're like
It's
the
just
launch
not novel.
so 2010.
Yeah, it is.
Which is actually true.
It is true.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm just saying that's very kind of Apple to forgive you.
It is.
For
Oh,
that slight.
yeah, it's very kind of it.
Yeah.
For sure.
There we go.
Thank you, Apple.
Thank you, Apple. But yeah, right now, hopefully I'll be thanking NVIDIA.
Okay.
I am trying to take this long. I had this short. I got into early. Happy with where I got out. We adhere to the risk management, so But the timing on this was bad. And that's been my thing all day, is just getting that timing right. It's like, I want to have a meet cute with these stocks, but it's like that part of the rom-com where they keep missing each other. That's the part of the rom-com I'm at. And I want to be at the meet cute right now with these stocks and my entry points. I'm not going to lie, like CLSK, I had the right levels for a lot of this. It was just and I should have stayed away from her earlier than I did. But basically, the whole thing with this is just I had these levels I liked. It was just the timing was off. And to be fair, I've been really tight with the risk management, so there haven't been any huge misses here in terms of loss. We're not down by too much, but we are definitely down more than I would like to be. Also, NVDL again being like, oh, I guess we got to the coffee shop like an hour apart or something, because I'm ready here at this 33.15. She gets to 33.16 and continues to the upside. So I guess that'll be another misconnection here for NVDL and I. But if we come back, I'm interested.
Have you watched that rom-com with Sydney Sweeney?
No, my family
Who's the other
did.
guy in?
Glenn Powell.
That's it. Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. It keeps coming on advertisements on TV. It's on Crave now. So if anybody who has Crave in this country, which is not available in the States, obviously, it's on Crave. Yeah. I just keep seeing advertisements on it. You said rom-com, and it triggered that idea. Yes, Big Kyle astutely pointing out that TSLA got into yesterday's high and then decided that it had enough on the day, and it was going to now turn around. Shout out to Big Kyle. Let's have a look at what Big Kyle is talking about here. I'm assuming, Kyle, you're talking about the institutional level print that came in at 8 a.m. yesterday. That came in at 146 3/4. The area we're topping out at, to me, Kyle, seems to be the consolidation top in the aftermarket on Friday, ironically of all things, because that's where I see us. That's the closing print there on Friday, I think, was actually right there at 147. So I think that's what it is, Kyle. I'm not that inclined to put a whole lot of weight in the 8 a.m. institutional prints. I know there's all these theories about what they are and stuff, but anyway, Tesla coming down aggressively now. Wow, that is a nice topping tail candle 14.43. It is on the way down. It printed 14.26, so almost $1 off that top, and that is one ugly candle if you view it on a wider time frame. Look out, though, for a possible 146 hold here, right? We talked about this 146, 145 and 3/4 acting as a key area of resistance prior to that. So if we clear it and come back down to it, do we now use it as support? So I'll be looking for that on TSLA. It also could be that the 10 period as well, but I'll be looking more for the whole dollar level there on Tesla. Great move up into 147.25, coming back down now, maybe giving us 146 dip trade. We'll have to wait. Tesla doing things.
Yeah, I'm trying. So it's funny. I have the same line drawn that you did here on my Tesla, but I want to take this short.
Bang.
And I want to take it short to that level. Tesla, if you would like to open the door, I know Cybertruck isn't always willing to do that, but I want to get 52s. I want to take that short. Sean short the market, so nice look. Looks like I was a couple candlesticks too shy for my TQQ short, because that thing would have printed out. Can I guess? Cute TQQs? Okay, are you short? 53.21.
Oh,
nice
very close.
there.
15, is it right? Is it there? Right, put it back. Yeah, right there.
Ooh.
53. Well, come on, more Trader TV. Ram's getting defensive about it. You didn't write the script. Typically, if what we're talking about, guys, is the updating of the price on more Trader TV. It'll take like a minute, 30 seconds or so to update there, so it doesn't always update spontaneously. That's what the Katina Man wants you to know there. Shout out to the Katina Man. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Adara. You were talking about something.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy I called that price within a penny and a half there for Sean. So that market heading to the downside and Sean's position on that heading to the upside. I'm looking at Affirm again. Now, I know I said Affirm and I were like, not on the outs after that, but it was like, that was my issue is, and I think it was Quan Tran saying something like that about how real, like live trading definitely changes how you trade. I think for me, the issue is I should have been trading how I normally trade. Because it's real money, I wanted some extra profit here on this Affirm instead of scalping out as we got above VWAP. If we had, I would have made 40 pennies. Instead, I stayed in and I took an L, right? So I think I need to be staying truer to my style. I think that's the issue. And I mean, this Affirm here, I was watching this because I like this rounded bottom, and then I was like, if we reverse, this is where things can get spicy. We did have that little move down here. Now, I don't know, we're not going to give this too much. We're going to give this like less than 10 pennies, but I want to take this move to the downside. I might be a little too late here trying to get involved in this 33.03s. But yeah, right now trying to short Affirm and Tesla, or Tesla, sorry. So both of these I like just because we had that big bearish candle saying, hey, no more. We have to calm down. We have to chill. But right now I'm seeing a lot of Mara. So while I wait for these to get involved, I am involved in Affirm, by the way, so that's nice. Mara is a nice look here. Mara, I initially was looking at this maybe as a short, but Mara's like, what are you talking about? Trying to make a new high, or I get above that previous local high there of 1930. We're gonna have to wait and see what we do here. Yeah, CleanSpark was a bit of a bamboozler earlier. Happy I just decided to say no to this one because this was not these were not clean trades, and this stock was not moving cleanly. So you had to just stop looking at this at some point. But yeah, this Mara is a really nice little look here. I think it'll be really interesting to do it 1930s. This isn't one that I have any reason or impetus to get involved in right now. Not seeing anything that's making me go, oh, this is a trade I like, or a trade I want to get involved in. But yeah, it's certainly one I'm going to have to keep my eye on here, this Mara, because this 9 EMA bounce is really nice. I will say, I don't know if this is just me, I found these markets a little bit harder to read today. Like you see a level, it might look like it's going one way with the level and it decides to go the other. And of course I am like a very new trader, right? This is my 7th day live, so who knows? But yeah, I think it's been really interesting to see these stocks be a little bit more bamboozling. And honestly, at first, like I said, I was a little bit in my Billie Eilish era, a little like, oh, what are these markets doing? But now I'm excited to learn. It's like, hey, markets, you want to, try to throw me around here a little bit? I want to fight back. I'm going to be like Rocky there, sparring. I don't know what that was, but we're going to be in the ring, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to be in the ring with real money.
Love it.
Here, so shout out.
Shout out. Okay, let's have a look at the future here, because how many times are we going to accumulate at 17.6 and not clear it? So I'm feeling awfully bearish at these levels here, and quite frankly, see, you're not getting the wick shimmy dance as clear as we typically see it. So there's a couple of things here. I'm looking at the NQ June contract. Number one, we're rejecting off resistance level 2 on the pivots. and we have been rejecting off a completely random area, 17,615, for a while. It takes us all the way back to 12:15, so almost half an hour of rejections at a random area above 17.6. So that's number one. Number two, we're not really getting the wick shimmy in the sense that you're seeing the dips into 17.6 or south of 17.6 being bought up with aggression, nor are you seeing the shorts shorting aggressively at 17,615. I don't know what to think here, to be quite honest with you. So I'm just going to stay put. But clearly, you know, what I look for in the past is clearing that 100-point level with aggression and then coming back to it and holding it. You're not getting that here. So we'll continue to watch. And the reason that's important for me, even though I want to trade the futures, because, well, we're trading these Mag 7 names. And typically, you know, there is some confluence between what they do and what the market does. So shout to the Katina man there. All right, AAPL. Just kind of put in a bamboozling candle there. It got into 166.50, tanked, back down to 166.20, got bought up right back to 166.50. So something interesting is happening there. Maybe the 50-penny level acting as a level of resistance. We'll continue to watch that one unfold. So Apple above the volume weighted average price, curling into 166.5, but not clearing it with any degree of vigor. Now, that Meta range trade is back. So we talked about the bamboozlement being real and the fact that you had to basically factor in bamboozlement daily into your trading. Otherwise, you know, you'd be sorely disappointed. This candle over here is kind of the bamboozlement, taking you into the almost 496, and then right back down we go to reestablish the range that we were trading at, 495 to the high side. I would say volume weighted average price, it's moving up. So it was, prior to that was 492.5. Now it's basically 493. So you're getting a bit of a $2 range right now on Meta. But I gotta mention that the lows are coming a little bit higher now. So if you were looking to get filled on the dip right at VWAP, you may not get it. Earlier you were getting it. Now it's kind of distancing itself. I'll get it right. From the volume weighted average price at the moment. So I'll continue to watch this possible range trade here on Meta as we come closer to 493. Here comes the $0.50 break after rejecting 495 on META there.
Yeah, we got out of a firm, we scalped it, and I'm so proud. And this is what I said, like, we didn't take even that much on this, but this is like, when you fall, you sometimes just have to get back up. And I do have to shout out Comp SRX in the chat here saying, to those that are new to this and struggling in this difficult game, know this. Your scars will teach you if you study and filter all else. You cannot, and I will repeat, you cannot truly change if you don't allow yourself to be scared. Get your arms in the mud. So I just have to shout that out. So thank you so much, Comp SRX, for saying that. That's something I need to keep in mind. And I think one thing, too, is that's why I was happy. Even though we did take some losses, I was happy he still kept trying. You know what I mean? As 21 Savage says, take less L's, make more M's. And I think, but you can't really take less L's until you've taken more L's and you've learned from those L's. Do you know what I mean? And I want to turn that L into learning. So there we go. As you've told me before, you either win or you learn. And I think that's really key. Right now, though, this Affirm, I want to explain why I scalped out of this where I did. So as we talked, I already waxed poetic about this. My biggest issue on this trade earlier was I didn't scalp fast enough. I see this move here, and I know we're up on the day. So I want to be very cognizant of what I'm doing here, right? I get involved here as we make that pullback down to about 33.03s. Then I say, hey, look where we're bouncing a little bit here around that previous little doji of around this 32.90s area, right? So we take 7 pennies and we say, thank you, Affirm. Pleasure doing trade with you. And then I get out. Because sometimes it's like you're not going to get all the movement that you want. You can't always get what you want. Shout out there to the Rolling Stones. And so I had to acknowledge that. Initially, I was kind of waiting to see what we did at this earlier trough at 89s. But then I realized, hey, we might not get that. Take your profit and be happy with that. And that's one thing that I think I have had the most success when I just trade closer to my style, which is ranging and scalping. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. Also, we are in Tesla. And right now, it's not a messel. It's just kind of moving a little bit slowly. But nothing to protest right now. Going to be getting out of this at 48s with this whole position. I had another order here that I'm just going to cancel. But yeah, as Sharif said, this massive little resistance area, this is I don't know how to stand in front of that freight train. Thank you very much. So you know we're going to get out part 47 and part 48. That is highly specific beak wetting, but it's just it's what I'm comfortable with. Good. And that's what I think is important is trading, trying to I guess, stay out of your comfort zone in terms of entries, but in terms of exits, be comfortable taking profit where you need to, if that makes any sense. And yeah, I thank you guys so much for all your support in the chat. This has been a really fun day because it hasn't been perfect. It's allowed me to learn in real time in the trenches. When you fall, you dust that dirt off your shoulders, shout it to Jay-Z, and you get right back up and you keep trading.
All right, let's go into, we're going to put an order here on the Cybertruck at 146.05. Call me crazy, but I'm going to look to defend that 146 area. We'll see. I mean, it's not exactly 146. Let's be honest about it here. It's 145.80. All the wicks earlier coming into that 80 level. These two double top bad boys up here into 145.80 as well. It was this one here that kind of broke the mold and went into that 146.25. So we'll all keep eyes on this one at 146.05 on Tesla. The other one I want to get into, I'm still putting my dip trade on Meta. It's there again. I got out of this one for a while because of the aggressive nature with which it was breaking the top end of the range. But I feel it's established itself in front of VWAP. VWAP on my chart is 493.15. So I'm a little aggressive with my placement here. I've got it 492.60. So I may get an outlier. I may not actually get the range. We'll see. I'm putting that trade in on META. We'll see how that bad boy ends up playing out. I was going to mention Mara. Yes. So I actually had Mara. I had a notification set up on my platform for Mara at VWAP, and I completely missed out on this one. So this one came into the volume weighted average price at the price that I liked over here. It was not this one. It was this one. I put it at 1890. This one, it did break aggressively VWAP on that particular occasion. It dipped into about 1870. So I would have probably had to give this more than 20 pennies, and I don't know if I would have done that based upon my trading style. So anyway, it ends up holding it, and now right back into the top end of the range we go. 19 1/3 for whatever reason here on Mara seems to be a bit of a local top. And that takes us back into that 1120 time slot to about 1130. We couldn't break it. We're right there right now. Do we reject off 1930 on MARA? It's up almost 10%. The fire, otherwise known as Mara, is up 9.88 now. So we'll keep eyes on that one. That could be an interesting trade on Mara. Did not get filled on Tesla, so didn't make its way down into 146, at least not yet. Coming down into that mid-teens area and then right back into the 40s we go here on Tesla. So yeah, not getting filled. Meta not getting filled either at that low end, so I'll have to keep eyes on that. The Piper, couldn't understand your explanation of what you're doing on Tesla. Sure, I can re-explain it, no problem. So let's go into this chart over here, Ram, and show exactly the Piper what I mean. So do you notice anything about this top here, the Piper? I mean, the fact that these wicking candles and the closing prints on these candles over here as well as these candles over here keep bouncing and rejecting off a certain area. That is the area we typically call a resistance area. Technical analysis, one of the fundamental kind of principles of technical analysis is when something acts as a resistance area and then it's broken through decidedly, if the price comes back down into that former area of resistance, in theory, it should act now as a level of support. So when you have an area where the price isn't able to break through and then finally breaks through it, and then the price comes back down to it, it's sometimes a good setup to take the dip off that previous area of resistance, now support. That's all I'm doing here. So I'm looking to sit in front of 146 right here, knowing that there was definite support, or resistance, excuse me, earlier there. So we'll see exactly what we get on Stresla. I'm still waiting on Meta, still waiting on Stresla, nothing else to report here. Big Bob Dub, 1930 also to the 200 period on the 4 hour on Mara. Good point out there. Let's bring in the side chart and have a look at what Big Bob Dub is talking about. Here is Mara. Let's look at the 4 hour. Takes a second to load as well. I don't know what, for whatever reason, Mara has been.
It's always Mara on this for you.
I know. I don't know why. And you know, it's been doing that for 4 years.
I thought it, oh my God.
Yeah, it hasn't changed. Don't get me started.
It doesn't
It
like
gets me
Mara.
upset.
Yeah.
So I don't like talking about it. I'm actually not upset.
No, I'm joking.
The 200 period says Big Bob Dub. Let's find out where's the 200 period at, bro? I think I may have removed it off this chart. So let's bring back the 200 period. Yes, there it is. Apply OK. And now we have to wait again. That's OK. Big Kyle, NVIDIA is still short. Shout out to Big Kyle. Big Kyle, I think NVIDIA coming into VWAP there. Shout out to you. Excellent trade for Big Kyle Burdett holding that bad boy. I think you were in the mid-20s there, Kyle. Yeah, this thing's taking forever. Yes, good call out there, Big Bob Dub. You're coming into the 200 period on the 4 hour. The 200 period is, on my chart, 19 3/4. Where do you have it? What do you have 1930. But I guess maybe you're using SMA because I'm using EMA. So let me know how that does if you end up taking that short, Bob. But yeah, good call out by you there on MARA.
Yeah, I was just looking at this one too. I still don't have a read on this. Like I said earlier, if we had continued to have these lower highs, I was tempted to short. We did not, so I am not tempted at all. I also have to talk for a second here about TSLA. So I did end up scalping out the rest of this TSLA here at 49s. I'm proud with this. Pretty small winner, but sometimes you just have to take the trades that you're comfortable with. And that's okay. That's what we did here. We got out, we scalped it out. Another scalp example. Shout out to Kyle Burdett, who was still in NVDA, but I scalped about, I think, 11, 12 pennies here in NVDL. I got involved in like these higher lows, and I'm proud of myself for my entry point here on this as well, because initially I was interested in 19s. Then I said, Adara, I don't know if you're going to get 19s. As long as you're below that 9 EMA, you should be okay to enter. We got involved at 14s. We got out at 3301s. Please just punch. If we get back into 3305s, because for whatever reason that was kind of a spicy level at NVDL, I'll short her again. But right now, I'm just going to leave her for distance. After, you know, a lot of failed meet cutes and waving across the hall, NVDL and I finally had like a successful date there. So nice look. We'll have to see how the next scene of this rom-com goes. But right now, pleased with my 10 pennies. Shaking on it. Still down on the day, but I mean, definitely not down in terms of my spirits. You know what I mean? When these markets try to get you down, you just have to keep going. Yeah,
Big Kyle's starting beef in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
Take it easy there, Big Kyle. He's like, who is this Big Bob Dub? And does he want to wrestle for the big title that can only be one? Shout out to you, Kyle. You make me laugh, bro. Shout out to Big Kyle Burdett. Metal artist, artisan extraordinaire. I mentioned this earlier, but yeah, shout out to Kyle. And a hell of a fisherman, too. Posted a bunch of pics there on his gram of these big boy fish. I saw the new pics there, Kyle. You don't think I saw them? I saw them. Ram, you have a camera over there, Ram. You could use that camera. It was taken away. Where you go in the podcast room? Of course it did. There, shout out to Mark, the most talented man in this firm by far. Programming and woodwork? What?
I didn't even realize he did woodwork too. And doesn't Randy also, why does everyone here do woodwork?
I don't know. I told him.
That's
I went in
amazing.
there to the podcast room. I'm like, Mark, you have a very unique set of talents. I don't know too many people who write code and woodwork. I personally don't. There may be others out there that know. I don't know too many.
That's like so cool. He could like he could build a bunker and then also code out of the bunker.
Yeah, he literally, I love it.
Like, I don't know. He could be Mark Zuckerberg. Maybe he's going to give Mark Zuckerberg a run for his money in terms of marks who can code.
I love
really
it.
Cool.
All right, we're long TSLA here. We're gonna have to focus on this because now it is coming into that the previous area of support. So I'm gonna have to watch this. I'll send it to you, Adair.
Yeah, I mean maybe I was a little too impatient with my Tesla, but I'm happy I took my profit because you know you don't want to wrestle with Tesla too long or wrestler. So but yeah, so this why. I like the short for the same reason Sharif liked the long. So I'm going to echo, but like obviously with opposite entries. So I was getting involved trying to take it to this beautiful little flat top break of a couple hours ago. And now Sharif wants to get long off of that because support and resistance can flip. And if we bounce here, I honestly can't say I wouldn't join Sharif in this long, but I want to wait a little bit because for me, I want to make sure I have a good stop, and I don't have a great stop on this. Do you know what I mean? Which is why I don't want to jump on this. The closest stop I would have would be about 43s, get in at 46s. You know what? Adara, let's see how these Qs are doing before you get involved, because I like cross-referencing with the Qs. If I ever don't know what to do in one of these mega cap texts, I just ask a Q to the Qs. Now, you know, we have a quick Q&A with the Q. So these Qs are kind of having a little bit of a roundy top there. Sorry, these wicks are making it hard to see. Honestly, I might short the TQQs here, so I don't know if I'm going to go long Tesla, although I have to say that Tesla is holding up really nicely.
No, I don't know if it is.
You don't know? Okay, I'm looking at my
Yeah,
Tesla, so it's a bit different, but I think I missed my opportunity to short the Q. Shout out to Sean, though, who is short the TQQs. Yeah, though, if we get back into 53s and reject, I do like that 53.10 area. That's an area that I had some trades on earlier in both directions. So 53.10, reject, someone's going short. I am that someone. So we're going to have to wait and see on that, though. Yeah, this NVDL, I definitely gave up the ghost on that too early. But again, that's just how I trade, right? So I was comfortable with it. I like the flat bottom break. I played it into the flat bottom break. And then we did, in fact, break from the flat bottom. So shout out to anybody involved in these NVDL trades this short, or the NVDA short as well, because I think that's certainly a nice look indeed. Yeah, I don't have a read on much here. This has not been Range Nation. I'm going to take a look at some of these earning plays from earlier. Let's see how GM is doing. Yeah, this is, GM? Hello. Sorry, I got excited. This is kind of a little rangy. Got a base of about 45, top of about 45.40. Not too shabby, not too shabby. Don't like that we're resting on this 9 EMA. But if we break below the 9 EMA, I am getting short, and I'll take it to 45. So you know what? Move aside, Affirm. I had some fun trades with you earlier, but right now, GM is going on the esteemed side chart. Sharif and I always talk about this, but you know a stock's not our good books if it goes on our side chart. Because if it's on our side chart, that means it's on our minds. So there we go. GM, if you break below this 9 EMA, this could get really interesting. Also, we do have that 2-year auction.
Yes, coming
2-year
up
note
very
in
soon.
3 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah, good call out on that. I was just about to say it, but we'll obviously watch that. Usually it takes a few minutes for us to get the reaction there from the market. Bhavan Patel saying Apple News, they cut Vision Pro shipments. So I'm looking for that actually. I had actually heard that prior to today. Let's see, VIS Island. Apple Analyst. Okay, here it is. So there's that Ming Chi guy that was talking about it last time. This comes to today. It comes to us vis-a-vis not Twitter. It's called X now. Apple Analyst Ming Chi Kuo posts on X. Apple cuts 2024 and 2025 Vision Pro shipments forecast unfavorable to MR headset, pancake, and micro OLED trends. Okay, interesting look there for AAPL. I mean, it really hasn't reacted to that news. It's still up on the day. Man, I missed my Meta trade by like a penny. It dipped into I have my order at 492.66, I think. This came into 72, so I didn't get filled. That would have been a nice winner. That would have been almost $1.50 winner right there, just right off the bat. But alas, it did not fill. Meta is a little spready, so you're going to have to be a bit more aggressive, I think, with your dip trades. And don't try to be as frugal as me, because you won't get paid, it looks like here. So we miss our dip trade yet again on Meta as it continues to range the better part of the day. It's been ranging since 10:45. 10:45?
That's nice.
I think before that, actually. Hold on, let me make sure I'm right. Yeah, 10:45. The better part of the morning has been a bit of a tight range with 495 to the high side, and now it seems like it's 492.50 or 493 to the low side. Prior to that, it was 492 and change. So a bit disappointed in myself for having missed that trade, but alas, that's the way it is. Now, we did dip down aggressively below 17.6. We broke the 20 period as well, dipped into about 15.7. 15.575, but a bit of a hammer candle is being put in here. So could we claim 17.6 here? We've been rejecting off pivot level 2, or sorry, resistance level 2 off pivots at 17.615 for the entire morning. So we'll watch that, see if we can get anything on that. Wow, Meta right back into 494 and a third. Jeez Louise, I'm going to have to move up that order, but I thought that order was good, man. I mean, like, we were dipping into here, and so I put it in a skosh above, about 20 pennies above, and that still wasn't good enough. So, Meta, you suck. Chef Joe, don't we have a 2-year note at one? Yeah, we talked about it. We just said it right now. We were waiting for the results there. It typically takes a few minutes, right, to really see the market reaction, but we're awfully close to 17.6, so if it's digested well with the market, we could get a big move up 17.6. But there has been bamboozlement before where we see a downtrend followed by an uptrend. Normal. These algos are not that good yet, so they don't read English all that well. I'm kidding. No, seriously though, I want to mention something here quickly. Where was it? Yes, the 2-year. So that's the note auction we're getting. It's the 2-year. Currently, the 2-year is trading at 4.913. That is the futures contract. The 2-year futures, it's down 0.2% on the day. So we'll see exactly what the move is there after we get from the auction, Adara.
Yeah, I cannot believe, because I normally don't do this. I did get involved into a trade heading into the auction, but Ford, hopefully it can afford this move. We're gonna have to wait and see. I do like this though, and the reason I like this is I know I mentioned GM, but I was like, I know these two are kind of moving in tandem, and look at how bearish this is. Look at how rangy this is. To me, of the two of these, Ford is gonna be my bestie, way far and beyond here, whatever GM is gonna do, right? I like this. I like as well, we got involved at just below VWAP. I'm interested in adding if we get into 95s. Probably not a huge add there. Then if we break above 97s, cutting that trade short, risking about 5 pennies, trying to make minimum, I'm trying to make minimum like 6 here, so kind of odd risk to reward, but not risk outweighing reward, so I'm comfortable with it. Also, I am not seeing this number here, so we're waiting for that. I don't like this little baby pop-up we got, so this might be more than we can afford to lose here, but we're gonna be careful, we're gonna be cautious, we're gonna wait, and we're gonna see what that number is. If anyone sees it, let us know. Daniel saying, I think you should write a book about how to pun. I wouldn't really, honestly, I think my puns are mostly like dad joke kind of stuff, so I don't know. No. But I think, sometimes it just kind of like comes to me, like you hear stuff and you have stuff in your head, you have references in your head, and then they just kind of come together. Like very rarely will they be planned in advance, or the most advanced will be a Sharif will say something and then I'll think about it and then it throws to me and I'll say it, right? So, but I do appreciate that. I do love punning. Actual, thank you so much, Day Trader Cut. Actual coming in, 2-year note high yield, 48.98%, previous 44.595, so higher than expected, or higher than the previous. US 2-note bid to cover, also higher than the previous. 2.66 versus the previous of 2.62, so slightly higher than expected here. Not a big move happening in Ford here, so I think we can afford to stay in the F-150 for the time being. I want to take this one down the hill, but right now it bounced a little bit off VWAP, so not a huge fan of that. How are you doing?
I'm good. I haven't really, I don't like anything at the moment. I'm waiting to see what Tesla does here. I'm still not giving up this idea on Tesla holding up at these levels. I'm waiting to see what this last 5-minute candle closes as. I'm also waiting for the results of the auction to have some sort of effect on the market. We're below 17.6, no question about that. We're below VWAP on NVIDIA, and the reason that's important to me is because, NVIDIA has kind of been leading the way lately. Maybe not so much today, but we're below VWAP on that, so shout out to Big Cal Burdett. I hope he's still holding his short on NVIDIA at these levels. What we haven't done is looked at some of these small cap gappers for a while. So I'm going to have to look at that. Let's pull in the side charts here. I just don't want to take my eyes too far off Tesla, because if it comes into that level, I'm all about that life. So. All right, NIVF. This is the one that's really been in play. CZOO is back in play as well, and it's doing things, guys. CZOO is really challenging NIVF for top dog here. To be quite honest with you. And the reason is, look at this move, bro. $5 open today, 10.19 HOD. Okay, you go, Sizu. Great move into the volume weighted average price multiple times. The dip trades into the 8 all defended. So it looks as if this one really was defending the whole dollar level rather than in a technical indicator like VWAP. But if you are looking to weasel your way into this, the deeper retracements, as we've been saying over and over, come into the 20, and the more shallow retracements all into the 10 EMA. So that is another way you could weasel your way. Maybe a possible defend of 9 here. We just printed new highs of day, 10.19, but I got to tell you, it's a little spready. So keep your eye on that because, that may cut you up a little bit. NIVF also still trading above the volume weighted average price. Dip trades off 2 1/3 have been profitable, but I would be negligent if I didn't point out the fact of these lower highs coming in here. So we could, have some sort of manifestation of a flat bottom break through VWAP here or something like that. NIVF, it's retracing off the highs, 295 HOD, trading at 2.5 at the moment. Space has been kind of a little bit above VWAP, a little bit below VWAP for whatever reason. 88 pennies got defended, but we have a bit of a top here. So this could be an interesting range trade with VWAP in the middle of the range, 93 pennies to the high side, and then about 88 or 87 pennies to the low side. Anybody interested in that? Have at it. What else do we have? MTCC. This one kind of also doing its thing here with support and resistance. It looks as if it's holding the top end of the range here at 210 for now, but this one keeps like changing its ranges. A little bit below, a little bit above, a little bit below. Not my style of small capper. MTC. Yeah, I gotta tell you, CZOO and NIVF looking awfully good, but so is Space. Space from a range trade perspective, 93 pennies seems to be interesting here. All right. It is, looks like we are holding these levels on the future, or it seems like that way. I'm going long. Let's see. We got a dip trade here. Let's go. If we can get filled. I'm trying to be too frugal, man. Ram. Trying to get filled at 80s here on Tesla. We'll continue to watch here as now the future above 17.6 again. Looks like this market is liking what it heard or saw or whatever from the auction today.
Yeah, so I did get out of those, the TQ short. I tried it. I'm happy I tried it, is the thing. Didn't work out. That's okay. I like this level here. We risked about 10 pennies. We got involved around, I think, 53.08. We got out around 53.18. And I like that level, not just because it was 10 pennies, but it was also above that previous area that we danced around. So I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? You gotta recognize that taking L's is part of the game, and that's the biggest thing I've learned today. I am down on the day, but you just got to keep those spirits to the upside. Bullish, positive energy. That's what we are here on Trader TV Live. And we are bearish negativity, and I am ready to keep going. I stayed in Ford. I did stay in Ford. I said I'd give it to 97s. We got to 96. I'm still in Ford. So let's see if we can afford to go to the downside a little bit more. One thing I don't love is the potential of a VWAP bounce, but I don't have a reason to leave yet. So we're going to stay in this. I am going to set a beak wetter at 89s before I start the lesson of the day one last time. But yeah, that's the deal right now. Out of TQ, this has been a really wild day for trading. I feel like it's like these ranges are a little bit bamboozling, the areas are a bit bamboozling, and all you can do is just recognize this is what the market's doing today, and I have to figure out a way to trade that. And yeah, that's
well said.
It's been a huge lesson, honestly, today. And I think sometimes you learn more when you're losing than you do when you're doing positively. So thank you for my lesson, Market. I paid my tuition today at Market University.
Yeah.
Not too much. We didn't pay too much tuition.
Good.
We paid like a Starbucks sandwich and a drink. Maybe not, honestly, given how expensive Starbucks is right now, probably not even that much. So you know what? I'm honestly okay with that. I have to say, and it's the.
I want to complain a little bit.
Please do.
You know those chickens that Costco has? Those roasted chickens. I've
the
never bought
rotisserie
those.
chickens?
The rotisserie ones.
Yeah, I used to buy at Sobeys, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So they're $7.99 in Canada.
Okay.
Right? So $8.
Yeah, it's not.
Why is it $4 in the States? It's $3.99.
Pardonnez-moi.
It's infuriating.
I was
and
gonna
they
say
make
eight's not
more
bad.
money too, not just buying power money. Like the actual digits are larger. Have you ever heard of this expression about Canada? San Francisco real estate prices, West Virginia wages.
No. Oh.
Yeah, a bit of a tougher look. Yeah, so you just reminded me about the Starbucks thing because I saw that yesterday. My sister was at Costco and she's like, "Oh, they're $4." I'm like, "Oh, that's nice. They're $8 here." I know, Ram, but I'm complaining. That's why she puts on her suitcase and runs away. Shout out to Ram. I didn't mean to interrupt your lesson.
Well, no, the thing is, too, is I also have heard of people, and I read this, and I think this was on 6 Buzz or whatever a while ago, but my friend was telling me there is a woman in Ontario who would go to Trader Joe's on the weekends in the U.S. and, like, drive up and then come back because her groceries were cheaper.
Yeah. I've heard about that. Yeah.
Oh,
she did a TikTok on it.
Yeah,
and she would compare the receipts, right? She would, like, drive. I think she would live in, like, Fort Erie or something like that.
Yeah, like, she lived close enough that it wasn't
right?
insane. Yeah, and the gas, I guess, was worth it. But, yeah, so thank you. I guess both of you guys have heard of it, so I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, right now also pretty good is the pullback entry. Buying on a discount or buying your chicken. You know, we buy chicken at a discount. We also want to get into these markets. at a discount, right? So how do you get involved on these bull flag setups? I almost said cheddar. I do not, I guess, food on the brain here. But let's do a quick refresher course on what a bull flag is. So imagine you've got a bull, it's in the ring, and it takes a little breather. Takes its time before charging to the upside in the case of the market, or into the red flag if you're a bull. But the bull flag pattern will basically reflect this pause, this stagnation, and then move forward on the chart. And it happens after a price increase followed by a period of consolidation with a defined range resembling a flag. The consolidation can present an opportunity for a pullback entry. So here's one example. This is more of a pennant, but I still think it's a nice example. You have your pull, then you kind of open up here, then we fall back and we rest here around this area. Then we bounce back up, and that shows, hey, we had a little bit of a breakup, but you might get more bang for your buck if you wait and get involved in that pullback. So that's an example. Also, Sean just reloaded TQQ, hashtag real trading. So shout out to Sean there on that. Shout out to real trading. But why do you wait for a pullback entry? Well, for one, it gives you a better price. The pullback will give you an entry point or a potential entry point lower than the eventual breakout. So that way, you're not buying too high and you're actually maximizing your profit potential. Confirmation also really important to note here too. So a minor pullback within the flag can confirm that there's underlying bullish sentiment and give you the opportunity to get involved. So you also, here's one example too that I like. So this is, you have your bull flag, then you have, and they've labeled here potential stop losses, entries, and target profit prices, but of course, do what you need to do here as well. But you have always not advice, this is just one person's chart, right? So you have your flag, then we kind of break up, then we rest here and we bounce off that previous area. And then that's when you know where to get involved. So it gives you a little bit more of an opportunity rather than if you're gonna get involved in the breakout and maybe get stopped out, then you actually have clear, discernible areas with which to get involved, and then a target price that you can calculate based on measuring the bull flag. So that's a good question here from Ellen Trades. How do you know when it will stop dipping? I mean, the thing is you don't, right? But it gives you potential areas to look out for. So in this case, we knew that this area was going to be a little bit of potential support and resistance because that was the top of this flag earlier, right? We had some resistance, so that might be a level you're looking at. And it's really going to depend on the chart. And again, this isn't advice, this is just ways that you can look at the chart and ways that you can kind of look for areas of interest. Also, I'm really sad I left my TQQ short when I did, darn. But shout out to Sean there because he stated that my entry wasn't very good. Oh, he reloaded. I should have done that. Yeah. So Sean, shout out to Sean with that TQ short. Oh, you got 20s again. Okay, so Sean got 20s again there on the TQQs. So we're going to give him a round of applause because that's an awesome trade there. But also, you can also be awesome if you find a pullback entry point. And this also has to go with Alan Trade's question. So how can you identify these, right? I just mentioned support and resistance, but there's some other levels as well. So the first one, though, is going to be support and resistance. Look for horizontal lines on the chart where the price has previously bounced back up because these can act potentially as floors during the pullback and offer a buying opportunity. Fibonacci retracements, also worth noting. The technical tools can identify potential retracement levels, so 38.2%, 50%, et cetera, after a price increase, and these levels can act as magnets and can attract buyers during pullbacks. Price action, though, also really important to note. So look at how the price reacts at the bottom of the flag's range, and you can do that on the chart, on the book, what have you. Does it find buyers and bounce back up? Because if it does so, if it has that little bounce, if it has that inability to go any lower for the time being, that can indicate a potential pullback entry point. And there's one example here. So you have that clear resistance area. Then we have a bull flag around this area as well, right? Then we dip a little bit below. Then we end up finding support. And so now when we kind of break above this resistance area, which then kind of formed a little bit of support, that's when you have your movement up, and it gives you a couple of different opportunities to buy within. So lots of labels here happening on this chart, but basically it does show that this blue line formed as resistance, then it became an opportunity as support, and that could have been an interesting entry should you choose it. Beyond the basics, also really worth noting here as well, right? So other things to keep in mind. Prices. False breakouts are worth noting because prices can test support and then break through, so you want to be cautious and have confirmation signals like increased volume before entering. Patience is key, and this is a thing I've certainly learned today since going live, let me tell you. you don't want to force the entry. You want to make sure that you're waiting for the appropriate price action and confirmation signals before pulling the trigger. And you know, Sean with the sticky notes, he'll have certain levels he likes, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's really important to keep in mind areas that you're interested in, that you're looking at before you get involved. Last but not least here, we always talk about this, risk management. You want to use stop loss orders to limit potential losses if the price continues to fall below support or above support if you're doing this in a bear flag, right? And you might want to combine pullback entries with other technical indicators like bullish candlestick patterns or volume spikes, that type of thing. And also keep in mind risk. This is something, if you like, you want to spend more time studying it. This is just the basics. And also, you know, nothing is ever set in stone. These are things you could look for, but be prepared for the market to give you a quick little, you know, 1-2 punch of a surprise there. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that, Adara. Shout out to you. We're trying to take a dip here off VWAP on Apple. We'll see what we get here. I mean, I know the market is curling back down, so I'm going to have to keep a very close eye on this. I don't think this is the trade I want to be in. I'm only like 2 pennies out of the money right now, but yeah, the market is making a decided curl down. 17,575 or thereabouts is where we've based out, but you know, quite frankly, it looks like we may be headed maybe into 17.5 if we really make a big move down. Reason being, that's where the volume weighted average price is hanging out on the NQ June contract. There are some nice dip trades to be had right now on some of these Mag 7 names on the volume weighted average price. I'm talking about you, Softy. Nice looking hammer candle there off VWAP, and Softy has shown its inclination on the day to actually very much respect VWAP, and the respect has been real by Softy with VWAP today. Look at that dip trade there, 11.05 holds to the T. When we got close to it again at 12 o'clock, we held it, and then right now we're putting a bit of a doge candle right there at 406.15, bouncing up into that 406.5. Let's see if we're able to hold number one VWAP on Softy and some others, and Apple as well, because we're involved in this trade. Okay, we just wet our beak on some profits now on AAPL. So for the moment, at least, and underline for the moment, VWAP holding. But I got to tell you, I see weakness a little bit here on the future, and so who knows how long we'll hold this trade for further. Big Kyle, ES and NQ still both over 1% up right now. Plenty of room for retracement with a good positive day posted. Couldn't agree more, dude. Couldn't agree more. Thinking a positive or a healthy retracement, at least intraday, on the NQ would be a 17.5 retracement. We'll see what we get there from the market. The market doesn't really, you know, care what you and I want, Big Kyle, so we'll have to keep watching there and see what's up. By the way, I'm yelling cheese, not cheese, G's, right? It's something that we just all do around here. It's one of the noises that we enjoy making on the trading floor.
Did someone think you were yelling cheese?
Kyle thought I was yelling
Oh,
cheese.
I like that. Cheese.
All right. Can you believe this raid share on Meta is still happening here? I was really disappointed in myself for not getting in at around right here. And I had other opportunities. This was just more psychological block than a technical block here. So this is all on me and nobody else. We'll see exactly if we can get the dip trade that we're hanging out here. So now I got to move up my level on Meta to 493.10. So right now I have it set to 493. That ain't going to cut it. We're going to have to put it for 493.10 if we want to play this range on Meta there.
Yeah, this is interesting. And that if anyone knows a Meta ETF, let me know.
Oh,
Is there a metal? Is there a Mets? Because I really wanted to trade that range, but it's not something I'm comfortable taking as I'm live. Also, I am short NVDL. I just want to put that out there because I realize it's not on the position board. I'm short NVDL 33. And I think we're going to have to get out, though, if we get back to 90s, because we're struggling with this a little bit more. So I like this area. I mentioned earlier I'd be interested in taking 33.05s, but we have a little bit of these lower lows, right? But now we're trying to curl up a little bit at this 90 MA in a way I don't love. We got to 90s, which was that earlier little trough, and then we bounced back up in a way that I did not enjoy. And also I checked and I was like, oh no, Adara. On the NVDA, on NVIDIA's bigger, more intense sister. She's looking to bounce off VWAP. So if we have that VWAP bounce, I'm getting out of NVDL post-haste. But if we break below, I'm willing to stay in. Right now, we're about 3 pennies in the money, and I do not want to lose those pennies. So we're going to be cautious here. We're going to continue to trade with the scalping that I like. The main profit area for this, though, is going to be this beautiful 3280 area. I want to see what we do with 3280s. If we bounce, I get out at 3280. If we break below, I will be staying in for a very short period of time, seeing what we do. But like I said, I generally feel like I am more in my bag. And when I say in my bag, like I'm more focused, I'm more, the trading's better when I'm scalping. So that's always going to be the goal if we can. I think I'm going to get out this at 92s though, because I don't like the way we're curling back up here. That is not my type of trade. And I don't feel comfortable with just with the buying power as I go live to kind of add into this. So I just want to cut it short there. I don't know what face I just made there at 3290s, if at all possible. So yeah, happy with that. Also Ford, I wish I had something to report right now. Ford right now just trucking along, pun intended. I want to see that break below VWAP here. That would be beauteous. Trying to get out part of this at this 1289, then saving pieces for dreams on our way back to the downside. I'm really proud of this though, because I said I want to see what we do at 97s. We didn't get to 97s, so I didn't have any reason to leave. It is a little bit more of a slow moving trade, but again, it's not giving me any impetus to get out of this. So right now we are going to stay in. I think NVIDIA might be curling back up and I might have missed my opportunity to get out of this, but it's all good. It's all good. We're going to stay chill, pardon. Oh, it's all good, baby. It was all a dream.
There you go.
Used to read Word Up magazine. I'm not going to rap that whole verse.
Did you ever read Word Up magazine?
No, I didn't.
Neither did I. Yeah, I have never. I used to read, what's it called? What was that one owned by Benzino?
The Source.
The Source, thank you. I remember he got into a whole thing with Eminem, right?
Oh, yeah.
Remember? Anyway, Apple doing well right now, holding the VWAP, I say, holding at this, we're at 166.40 or thereabouts. Right back into 17.6 we go on the future, but it's turning into a range trade right now on the future. Got to be honest. I mean, I'm just so programmed to want to look for a momentum trade on the future. If we come into a key area of support or resistance, 100-point area, a close, whatever, something that I like, I expect something to happen there. Break above, break below. But sometimes you can range, and that's the lesson I really learned prior to leaving on my vacation. There was a big day there that I had a big red day before I went, and it was based upon that thinking that when we are at that critical area of support or resistance, something has to manifest in terms of like a momentum trade, and that doesn't have to be the case. So we're at 17.6 right now, but yeah, I don't really expect anything too crazy to happen here. Now, I did move up my meta dip trade into a level that I like a little bit better, and so I put it at 493.25. We're currently trading at 494.5 with this predefined range 495, 495.5 to the top side and 493 or 492.5 to the downside. That has been the effective range on META basically the entire morning. So I'll be looking there. Tesla. Okay, Tesla, you punk. On the way right back up. Is that bad?
No, I just wasn't prepared for you to call it a punk.
Right, right back up because we were trying to get cut up. We kept getting cut up on this 146 support that we thought we were dang geniuses, thinking that we had, called the bottom there on Tesla. And yeah, the punch in the face came swiftly there because we got punched out of that a couple of times. But there you go. It curls right back up, looking to go through 146. Let's see if this one can make it back into that 147.25 territory. That is currently HOD. Yeah, we are definitely undecided at the moment. A few points below 17.6, a few points above 17.6. The market doesn't have its mind made up today. Shocker, they didn't have Word Up magazine in Winnipeg. Isn't that the West Virginia? Be nice, Kyle. You don't have to make fun of Winnipeg. Winnipeg's a great city. What's that red, what's called the Red River?
The Red River? Yeah, you know about the Red River?
Hey.
You know about
because it like overflows and there's beef there every year,
oh,
right?
Yeah, there's also, that's like the of Canada.
But on a per capita basis, I'm assuming, not on a numerical basis, because Toronto takes the cake there on a number basis. The Katina man is saying Winnipeg is the murder capital of Canada, but is it per capita? I'm assuming. Right?
I think so.
It can't be more murders in Toronto. I won't believe that.
I believe it could be per capita, but it's
mostly.
It's it's an interesting place, and yeah, the Forks is one of our big hangouts, which is at Red River actually.
Is it?
Yeah, it's where the rivers fork. It's like kind of the only pseudo tourist attraction we have.
I have a question.
Yes.
In Ottawa, they swim on the Rudeau and that other river.
Okay.
I think is it called I forgot the name of it. Do you go in the Red River? No, eh?
No.
It's bad?
Oh, I would not
Really,
go in there. I know they have boating events in there.
Yeah.
But nobody that I know is going to be swimming in there because you don't know what's in there. I'm going to be really honest.
I mean, in Ontario, in Toronto, I do water pollution checks before the beaches I go to. So if you go to Woodbine, go to Humber, check the water pollution levels. They check it every day and they post it on their website. What's that? Bro, I'm not even repeating that. Ram. Bro, we're doing a live show here, Ram. Like, come on. Ram's a menace to society. Shout out. Really? Have you seen the issues going on in Thunder Bay right now? I saw that. 12 for every 100,000. That's Thunder Bay? Yeah. And it's 6 for every 100,000. 1.8. I knew it. I mean, like, there's just no way that Toronto is. So shout out to the Katina man. What Jennifer did?
Oh, that was Ontario. That is a very, that's Ontario.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, it's a real case that was a whole intense thing. But yeah, what Jennifer did is a Netflix show about an actual girl who did a thing in Pickering.
Pickering.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, right.
But yeah, so anyway, so that's what that's in reference to. That's not Manitoba though. But yeah, right now, I'm short the Qs. I have to say, this NVDL short, we got a little bit chopped out of, but that's okay. We broke above, and I loved this area here as a stop loss. I have to say, I was proud of where I set this. That was a huge base earlier, that 33.80, support, resistance, right? So I was like, if we break above that, I'm out. We broke above that, I was out. But now we're kind of coming back down. However, I don't want to re-enter the short, and I say that because I don't like this little chop and turn we're having here at 32.90s. We're below the 90 MA, but not in a way that gives me a lot of confidence. You know what? I'm going to go short this, and I'm just going to scalp it. That's going to have to be what we do. But that being said, I am in my TQs, so I want to get out of the TQs before I do that, just because with two sort of volatile names there, or not sort of, TQs and NVIDIA, you want to be careful, right? So I am short the TQs. Don't love this entry point. I was gunning for 15s. We didn't get 15s. We got 53.08. I'm okay with that. The goal for this is I want to minimum get 52.88s. And saving pieces for dreams and kind of seeing what happens here. I am aware that we are seeing higher lows to some extent, but we're really not seeing higher highs. And it's not even giving me flat top break vibes either, because there isn't really a flat top. It's kind of a wavy top and slightly higher highs. So either way, you mentioned the range that's in this NASDAQ a little bit. I see it, and so I wanted to get involved. Like I said, not the best price entry that one could have, but not a bad one either. If we break above here into 20s, because that 20s area is where things get a little bit spicy, I'm going to have to get out decisively, and honestly, we might get chopped out of this. But the goal is, if you see something you like, just keep trying. That's the huge thing I've learned. As long as you're taking appropriate risk management, as long as you're being cognizant. Like I said, so today the trading wasn't as good, but it's like I don't want to stop trading if I see things I like, just because I feel a little bit discouraged. You know what I mean? So you can't be like that. You just got to keep going.
I respect that.
And so there we go. That's my little take of the day.
Phony Baloney, what's up with Carvana? Great question, Phony Baloney. Great day for the Vana today, 6.5%, and it's off its highs. It printed 76.50 HOD on the day. Let me find out what is afoot here with our friend Vana. I'm seeing options alerts come in there from our friends at Benzinga, alerting us to some unusual options activity. With respect to an actual catalyst, though, like a news catalyst, I'm not seeing anything on the day. Let me look from yesterday. The 22nd, nothing from the 22nd. The 19th, we had a couple of maintains by Baird, as well, a price target increase from 60 to 65, but that takes us back into Friday. Nothing that I'm seeing, brother, but yeah, as you can see here, it's been a very interesting move up here for Vana. The closing print yesterday took us to 71.50. Today, 76.50. That is a respectable move. On the way up there were opportunities to weasel your way into this trade. I'm talking about these two here, VWAP dips that you got here on Vana. The first one at 74.20 at around 11 o'clock. You got a second shot at it here at 11:45 coming in to that VWAP area again. But since that time, it has not looked back at VWAP. In fact, all the retracements have been more shallow, hanging off that 10-period EMA. When they have gotten a little bit deeper, they've dipped into the 20, not on a closing basis. The green is the 10 EMA, the yellow is the 20 EMA. So good look for Vana, but it's about 50 pennies off the high there. Let's see what it does. Again, sadly, I don't have a headline, so I can't account for the move here on the daily look here for Vana. So let's keep watching that. Yeah, we've been nicely in the money here. We're 20 pennies in the money here on this Apple long, but now we're knocking on the door of the 50 penny area, and I think that door is being shut, at least for the moment. But what's keeping me in this trade is the fact that we're still hovering at 17.6. We haven't broken down aggressively below it and made newer lows, nor have we gone to the high side. So I don't want to say I'm bewildered, but I'm unsure as to how to approach this market going forward, at least into the afternoon. What I do see on NVIDIA is a VWAP hold of sorts, okay, and curling a little bit here. So I'm not going to trade NVDA. I will trade NVDL. Let me show you what I'm looking at here. So NVDL's price right 33. So here's what we're looking at. So the VWAP is not the same on both, but obviously NVDL marches to the beat of NVDA's drum, not its own. So anyway, we're putting in higher lows here at a critical area where, a lot of people are probably looking. The volume weighted average price, now we're curling back possibly into that 820 area. It's not an aggressive curl back in, typical NVIDIA style. It's, knocking here, a 20 penny move up here, 50 penny move up there. So looks like possibly 820 could get taken here on NVDA. I'll be trading NVDL if that is the case. Watching out also for Meta. I'm very interested in taking the long here. I've already upped my entry, or my dip trade entry. It's a little bit above VWAP to wet my beak there. I could also take the shorts. The short, I'd like a pop into around 495 and a third, in and around there. I'd rather not take it where it's currently trading right now in case it does move back up and test the highs again. So we'll keep watching here. We're involved in Apple, 10 pennies in the money, and we'll see exactly what we get there. Interested in a possible NVIDIA trade. Now, let's look at some of these small cap gappers. We've been kind of laying off them for a while. Okay, here we go. NIVF has given you multiple opportunities at the volume weighted average price. First earlier, and now here again. So VWAP hanging out at 2 1/3. Price action right now, 239, 238. Last time around, it did hold VWAP. Does it hold it this time? I really want to point out the fact that we have been making lower highs the entire time. Since that 11:15 HOD that we printed at 295, each successive crest has been lower than the previous one. This could be a recipe for a flat bottom break through that 2 1/3, 2 1/4. Be careful with this one. The bottom can drop off at any time. It's around for a good time. It is not typically around for a long time. I'm talking about the small cap gappers in general. CZOO, CZU, this one continues to print. And the deeper retracements, like I've been talking about, have been going into the 20. So if you're inclined to get a dip trade into this, perhaps move it up with the 20. Now, if your software allows you, mine does. So I can say buy order, and I can place it at the volume weighted average price. I can drag it into the 10 period. I can drag it into the 20 period. So as the indicators move, you can drag your price up and down there, but you've got to have that on your software. Otherwise, you've got to adjust it by hand, Adara.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in two shorts, both of which I am flat on, so nothing to report there. But I did want to look here at MSCI for UCAN Homes. So this is a pretty rough look here for MSCI. Volume about 1.6 million shares. The company is called MSCI, reported quarterly earnings. EPS beat, but a sales miss here, so not a great look. Missed their sales by about $5 million. Kind of below that 9 EMA area. This isn't a small company either. We're talking about a stock that is trading lower here and is at 440. So that's certainly a big move down. Let's look at the daily chart and see what this is telling us. this MSCI. Yeah, to me, honestly, this is kind of a hard look. We had a bit of a downtrend starting in February, continuing a little bit to the downside, breaking below here. And it looks like, honestly, we broke below, where was our October low? Was this our October low? We broke below the October low. So to me, this is, unfortunately, this chart does look really bearish. One area, another interesting area that we broke below the October low of 472, right? Then we also broke below this range we had for a while of support here at 460, and that spanned April 24th, 2023, all the way to late June 2023. So this was a 2-month area of support. The fact that we broke below both of those, to me, honestly, a pretty hard look. I'm going to be really honest with you. And right now, I think, like, you know, we've been on that downtrend since February. It's kind of hard to say. I think it'd be nice to see what it kind of does after earnings, but I think it could run into some resistance with this 470 area, this 460, 470 area, because both of those are previous support areas, and we did fall below them both. So that would be my biggest area to keep an eye out for this stock, because this is not a cheap stock. This is not a penny stock. So this fell like $80. So yeah, 72.18 so far in the day. So yeah, that's my take on this one. I have to say, unfortunately, it's a really hard look on the daily, just given that it fell through so many levels of support. And that earnings miss, we'll have to see what it does, but that's a pretty rough fall. Right now, though, I will kind of quickly talk about this Ford. We're a penny in the money, so we're going to do a little dance, because with Ford, that required a little bit of patience. Still happy with my entry. It wasn't perfect, but happy with where we got in. Happy I didn't get out when we had that baby pop up, because I had no reason to unless we broke above 97s. Staying in that, chilling like a villain, ready to get the first part of my position out here should we get to 90s or 89s, I think, and then saving pieces for dreams. TQs, again, pretty flat, slightly out of the money on this, but still pretty flat here. Yeah, the fact that we broke above this 15s isn't super promising to me, but like I said, what I'll really be watching for is 20s, because I kept making the mistake of getting out of this too early, and then it falls with a viciousness. So for me, 20s is going to be that area. We're risking about 12 pennies. I wanted to make, I was looking for like 88, so I was trying to make at least 20 pennies there. So not a bad risk to reward ratio, all things considered. Right now, though, the main trade is Ford. Really just trying to see what these TQs do. Happy, you know, and this is another example. This NVIDIA short earlier. Adara, I'd be scalpier. That's just my lesson of the day. I could have scalped 10 pennies out of this had I been more on the ball. And I mean, we're not going to belabor that a firm 40 pennies short scalp I could have done, because, you know, there's no point belaboring that anymore. Or also, a firm is also kind of an interesting short again here. Look at that previous area of support. We can see it again as support. Now it's resistance. That could be an interesting short there, 32.90 into 32.75, which is, again, that was another support resistance flip area here too, right? So my levels that I identified on a firm coming into play, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on this.
All right, I just got a message from Alfred. Yep.
Oh my God.
It reads as follows. MSCI is tanking. I have been interested in starting a position in SPGI, MCO, and or MSCI for a while now. They always seem expensive, just like Visa and MasterCard. Here's the look on MSCI. MSCI, guys, is down 14.16% on the day. I'll show the chart in a second. Here's the look. Q1 revenue miss, estimates due to subscription cancellations. We're not going to read this whole thing, obviously, but there is a catalyst there, and it is an earnings miss catalyst. You can see here, we just closed out yesterday at $5.15. We are printing $442. This thing tanked $73 in one day. I can just feel Albert salivating through the phone and rushing to his computer there so that he can get on and print some and put some orders in. Anyway, MSCI, big move down. Let's have a look at the daily chart on this monster to see what it's been up to. Did it break key areas of support? Yeah, it did. There was a hell of a support area there at 450 and 460. That came and went without trouble. Look at that. You had support there in November. You had that entire April 26th to essentially June, July, middle of July. That 450, 460 got defended, and in one fell swoop, we absolutely tanked off that level. So Let's see where the next area of support is. It looks like it's going to be likely that $100 level at 400. That's $40 away from where we're currently trading at. So MSCI, big move down for anybody who's interested in that kind of name. Just got the call there from our friend Alfred, and he's an interesting guy. Yeah, you know he works for the TTC, right?
I did not.
Yeah, he works for the TTC. He's an accountant by profession, so he does like some accounting on the side, but he works at the HR department of TTC. He's always given me some inside information into the operation of, let's call it a company.
Okay.
It's really not a company, but.
Oh my gosh, actually?
Right? Yeah. He's like, I'll tell you off camera, but that is an interestingly run institution.
I
Let's
need to
just
hear
put
more
it like
later.
that.
Okay, that's spicy.
Yeah. All right, we are on the way up here on AAPL. So we took that VWAP dip and it did hold. Now we're into that 50 penny area here. So let's see if we can come into that 75 penny area, or the 2/3 area, excuse me. That's the top that we found last time here on AAPL. If we can break that 50 penny area, I'll be looking for that 2/3 to what might be.
Yeah, I'm staying right now in this TQs. I want to see what we did at 20s. We rejected off 20s. I'm comfortable staying in this for now. If we bounce off the 9 EMA, I'll just get out there. But I honestly have no reason to leave. Stan was saying in the chat, like, does it look like a flat top break? And I mean, it's kind of had that type of vibe for a while, but we haven't done any breaking. And we had this trend of lower highs, actually, and lower lows, a brief trend starting at around 1245 on the Qs, right? So I think we could break above it. I am certainly being cognizant of that as someone who's in this trade. But I think generally there is this kind of tendency to reject. And the TQQs, it's going to be about 53.20. On the Qs, it's going to be about this 425 20s, right? So to those areas, for whatever reason, TQ is giving up the ghost. Now, that being said, if we break above it, of course, we're going to do so with a viciousness, given how much we've had this chop and churn. But we're going to have to wait and see on this. I don't know. I'm kind of tempted to leave, but this is hard. Trading's hard. Trading's hard. That's certainly a lesson that has been learned today by me. But I'm going to stay in this for now. We didn't have that viciousness I was looking for. You know what I mean? Okay, actually, we broke up here. Yeah, we're just going to get out so I can look at other things and not worry about this. So there we go. We're out. Good times. If we have that rejection again, I'll go short again at a better price entry point. FDA approval for Dawn, says Tisha Perkins. I'm not seeing anything.
I don't see it either. I didn't see it. So shout out to Tisha Perkins. Thank you. Because I asked her, I'm like, what's the catalyst? I don't see it. Dawn is making big moves, though. Here's the look on DAWN. That's the daily chart. Let's flip to the 5 because it just popped off there. Was hanging out, chilling, relaxing, all cool at $15.11. Then the news came in and viciousness came in there, moving all the way up to 1630. Big move up here intraday on DAWN. Tisha says that they got FDA approval. I don't see it quite yet. But Day One Biopharmaceuticals is a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company focused on developing and commercializing targeted therapies for people of all ages with life-threatening diseases. You want to hear that, and I cheer for them so long as their motives are good. 1.42 billion in market cap, 70 million share float. It's hanging out right now at 16 1/4. It's not doing much at the moment, Tisha. Let me actually take out and put it here. There we go, DAWN. Yeah, it's okay. It just printed a high a day, 1648. This one is going, but I can just tell you, looking at how it's trading, it's a 10 penny spread on a $16 name. So that's a little spready, and you're gonna have to be very careful how you get in and get out, because just getting in can cost you 10 pennies a share. All right, getting in and getting out can cost you that much. Be careful with this one, but it does look good here. Moving up big intraday, well above Bollinger's. The volume is there to support the move. What's the daily show us in terms of areas of support and resistance? So, local support over here, or local resistance, pardon me, at that $17 area. That takes us back to April 1st, last time we were up here. And it does have a tendency to reject off the upper Bollinger Band on the daily. Okay, it does break through it at times, but the general rule with this name is that when it comes into the upper band on the daily chart, it does seem to retrace somewhat. You can see that here echoed multiple times. So keep your eye on DAWN. Great look, and thank you to Tisha Perkins for pointing that out. AAPL now through the $0.50. I'm looking for that 2/3 of a dollar, Adara. If it can come into that area, we'll wet our beak.
Wet that beak, and I love that you've had like great trades on both directions in this.
Thank
so
you.
Shout out to you on Apple, eating that apple, Tim cooking on that. Also, yeah, Ford popped up a little bit here with the rest of the market. I'm like slightly out of the money, a couple pennies out of the money on this, but I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm still waiting, looking for like, let's see 96s, higher highs, we're out. So there we go, we're just chilling in Ford. It is a little bit of a boring trade, but that's okay. TQs, though, I have to say, I am very proud I got out of this where I did. Sometimes you're proud of things. You can be proud of losing trades if you learn something from them. And I'm proud because I think there were a couple trades like this yesterday, too, where I was like, I didn't like where something was going, so I just said, Adara, I think you need to leave. And I was able to move to leave before we had the pop up. English. So that's what happened here. I'm really proud. We did lose on this, but we definitely didn't lose as much as we could have had I left a little bit later. So happy with this on this TQQs. Yeah, so there we go. If we bounce here off that 20 area, I might get involved. I don't know. This has been a hard market for me to find things that are really speaking to me. You know what I mean? I'm not seeing a lot.
I expect that.
It's just not a lot of ranges except for stocks that I'm not going to trade a meta because I'm live, right? So it's a little bit harder for me to stomach, at least at this point in my life. This NVDL.
Can I ask you something, though?
Please
And if
do.
you don't feel comfortable answering, make that very clear.
Okay.
Just because we're live doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right? When you were in sim and you were trading meta, were you trading it successfully with the same parameters? I'm talking about your shutdown and I'm talking about your buying power.
Well, I mean, I would find I traded meta less to begin with, but I would say in general, I want to preface that I'm okay. I'm cool answering the question. I just want to preface it with something.
Yeah.
My rule with meta, within the last couple months of me being in the sim, and I was always very clear about it, is I would only take it if I was obsessed with the setup.
Got it.
And so if it was a setup I felt pretty good about, I wouldn't take it.
Fair.
But that being said, if it was a setup I really liked and I took it with proper risk, I usually did well on it. Yeah.
Nice.
But
Good
it was
to know.
only if it was a setup I was like,
I like you
I
have
would
that
take it,
rule. I
yeah.
like how you have that,
Well,
like, as I have to love the setup for me to get involved.
Yeah.
And you put your foot down and you don't bend on that rule.
Yeah.
Good.
And I think with meta too, and I want to clarify, in general, of course, I want to like the setup, right? With meta, I had to be like hook, line, and sinker in love with it. And that's because the spread is not worth it unless you're obsessed with it for me.
Fair.
For meta.
Fair.
And so that's why, like, as meta today, I would have said, you know what, meta, give me all your heart and soul. I want to get involved in this. To me, this is a gorgeous range. This is the type of trade, A, it's the type of trade that I like, right? And B, it's the type of trade that I think has been manifesting all day. So this is something I would have probably been in and out of. So with that in mind, to answer your question, if it was like this type of meta, this is what I would be getting involved in. So usually they did go okay-ish. I don't know. Yeah, that's my take on that.
It's like that's Inception, right? I'm putting it in your head.
Oh yeah, that was cool. That was fun.
Apple is on the way up, guys. Nice curl off. Apple right there, knocking the door of 60, breaking up. Also, Meta. Speaking of Meta, speaking of the devil, the range is back in play, Ram. And this is the range we've been talking about all morning. We've been talking about that 495 and a third, 495 and a half at the extremes there on Meta. But something is telling me that the winds of change are coming. We're breaking well above 17.6 now. And so I feel like, this range on Meta may not be long before we break it. I mean, we could definitely get a big push up. We got a big push up on Meta at 10:30. We popped all the way into 498.76. We haven't been anywhere near that since that time. So it's in Meta, obviously, to retrace into these levels. I would have felt a lot better about this trade had we been consolidating still on the future. But the fact of the matter is now looks like we're trending. 17,265 HOD. We're right back at that level again. It looks like it might break to the high side here. And if that does happen, then you're going to probably see a break to the upside in some of these Mag 7 names. You're already seeing it in some of them. What's its name? NVIDIA curling nicely off that 815 dip. Now we're breaking through 822. Even the Amazonian is near day's highs again, 178.96. The high of the day is 179.05. So we're 7 pennies right now off high a day on Amazon as we recover off that V-shaped retracement. There's 2/3 on Apple. Big move up there on AAPL. You also had a fantastic VWAP dip trade today on Softy, man. This one gave you 3 shots at the area. It wasn't like a big mover. It was more like $1 or $1.50 worth of range, but predictable $1.50 worth of range nonetheless. It's really Tesla here that's dead money right now. And that's funny because Tesla was strong to start the day, was up over 3% at the highs, and now it is kind of breaking down, trying to dance with the 50 period, which is the red solid line on my chart. Tesla below 145.5 right now, trying to hold above 145, but these bottoming tail candles here showing that there is buying at 145 here on TSLA. Higher lows though. So you see the incrementally higher lows on Tesla. This could be interesting. What else we got? What else we got? So Meta is maintaining its range. It didn't break above that range, so good look there on Meta, but not breaking down as aggressively here as we print a newer high on the future. 17,630 now, the high of the day on the future. So it looks as if NVIDIA, Apple, and the Amazonian are going to curl back up here and help boost this market. We'll see what we get with the big kahunas who come on in about 10 minutes, guys. Make sure you're hanging around for when they come back.
Yeah, that Meta is just beautiful. Like, look at this range. Like, oh.
Yeah,
that's what I feel when I see these chocolate.
I could have traded this a lot better.
It's a nice trade.
Yeah, I had a good trade on it earlier, but I could have traded it a lot better. I had multiple opportunities to get in and out of this, but it's all good. I'm still getting my range trade feel.
Yeah, well, I want to range trade vicariously through you. So, I mean, like, definitely, I am very down for you to range trade these Mag 7s, of course, if there's setups you like on those. But yeah, that Meta is gorgeous. Also, I missed the range of the day that I could have traded, which is this Adara. Why'd you miss this? I was really proud of this IBIT short I had earlier, mind you, but this 38 right at VWAP here to 38.10 this is nice. This is nice. And now we're bouncing at this 90 MA, kind of making higher lows. You know what? I actually want to get involved in this. We're getting involved in this. We're risking, if we break below VWAP, I'm out. But I like that we're kind of getting involved here at this 38.05, trying to take this. We'll see where it goes. Right now we're still in Ford. Ford is just kind of, I was going to say Ford's doing things, but Ford's really doing a whole lot of nothing. We're not making higher highs, though, so I still have no reason to leave this trade. Kind of hanging out here. I also got involved in Ford initially because GM earnings, and I'm happy I didn't get involved in GM because that GM short, like I said, I wanted to see, I like that earlier kind of range. I wanted to see if we broke below 45.40s. That would not have been the trade, so I'm happy I went with Ford instead because Ford moved in a way that I was a little bit more comfortable with for my purposes. Did I get involved in IBIT? No, I did not. So we're gonna have to wait a bit for IBIT. I don't trust any direction today, says Killer Cam. Yeah, I mean, this market's been certainly an interesting one. We know Apple was a big bamboozler in all directions earlier today as well, so we're gonna have to wait and see here. Oh, Bryce saying we talked about SoFi and it broke high of day. Let's take a look at SoFi now here. Oh, okay, nice look on SoFi. Talk about a VWAP bounce to the upside. Let's see though, we're kind of chopping and turning a little bit, consolidating at this previous high. I want to see what we do at 74.50 because right now 754. Way to jumble up all the numbers there, Dara. Let's see what we do at 754 because this we already rejected twice. So I want to see what we do here. There's 2 ways you could interpret it. One, you could say, oh, it's a double or triple top, it's a rejection. The other is we're kind of seeing higher lows and a flat top. So I'd be curious to see what SoFi does. I do think it could go either way. We're going to have to wait and see. You know, we can't participate. We can't anticipate. We can only participate in what we have to see. Got to play before the market closes, says Yadiel Pacheco. Honestly, I think it's going to really depend. The market can move around in a lot of different ways ahead of close. And of course, the biggest culprit of this today, I would say, is going to be Tesla. Because Tesla has earnings after close. Who knows, you know, and I think it's going to be a must-see earnings tonight. That's for sure. I think whether you're long or short, this is one, we're going to have to see if this keeps cyber trucking and in what direction it decides to move. And yeah, we have 7 minutes left ahead to hit you guys with all the puns.
I don't know, I just got dazed by all the puns. I was getting hit in the face with one pun after another. You kill it, Adara. Shout out to you.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Bryce, we just talked about SoFi, and it just broke the high.
I looked at SoFi.
You did?
Yeah,
okay,
sure. I just
sounds
want to
good. Yeah, I was
clarify.
just in the bathroom, guys, so I didn't see
no
what Adara was dropping hot lines about. But let me tell you what is dropping hot lines, baby. It is the Mag 7, or let's call it Mag 5 right now, because Google and Tesla are not really participating in this last little bounce up here, even though Google is a lot nearer to high days than Tesla is. Tesla's holding 145, and for whatever reason, it's bouncing off the 50 on the 5 awfully well. So for now, it's holding that range, but it's not popping up like we are seeing on NVIDIA, 825 incoming on NVDA, 166 3/4 incoming on AAPL, and we could see another 167 touch. We're not that far away from it. 166.98 HOD. We're about 25 pennies off that at the moment. Amazon printed yet another high a day, 179 1/4 there as it breaks through resistance level 1 on the pivots. Nice V-shaped recovery today for the Amazonian, only up 1% though, underperforming the market on the day. But this meta trade, which has been a range trade all morning, is now turning into like a rounded bottom. Incrementally higher highs and higher lows, not with any vigor, and just enough to kind of stay under people's radar to see the trend, but the trend is there. The bottom looks like it's in right now, and now it's just like a bit like a bowl, curling to the high side like a smiley face, or so the NOS boss describes these type of patterns. Look for a break above 496. That's what I would look for in terms of confirmation there, and I'd keep my eye on the volume. 496 break, I want to make sure that there's no other buyers on the other side of that. They're going to bamboozle me. So look for the continued volume on META, but that 17,650 could come in real soon here. New high day, 639 on the future. So I'll continue to watch, see what we get here. Let's flip some of these small cappers. I know that Tisha Perkins was yelling about Dawn. How's that doing? Okay, not a bad move, up 10% still. Hasn't given up the majority of the move. The move goes all the way into 17 1/3. We're at just a little bit below 17, just below 17 right now in the high 1680s. Let's flip to the 1 minute to see if we can see the manifestations of a bull flag. Yes, and we're already starting to see a bull pennant of sorts. Now, it may not end up that way, but that's what we're looking for. These higher lows and lower highs, a bit of a compression pattern. Look for this one to possibly continue. If not, try to get it off key areas of support. I'm talking about VWAP. I'm talking about the whole dollars. Look to see what it's respecting, what it's jiving with on the day. DAWN. Apparently, it got something from the FDA. I still don't see it on my blotter, but shout out to...
Oh, it was talks. Tisha Perkins clarified it was just talks about FDA approval.
Talks. Okay.
So it was just people on Twitter whispering.
Got it. Got it. Well, yeah, there you go. I mean, that's what I worry about a little bit, right? Because this could be a pump and dump, right? People say that they heard something from the FDA. A bunch of people punch into it. Everybody takes the architects of this take the profit at the top, and then we're left holding the bag at 17, and they got in at 15 and they got out at 17 1/3. So I hate that, but I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying that we need to be cognizant of the possibility that that's the thing. Anyway, that's my look there. Meta coming to 496. Everything's curling up here.
Yeah, curling up is right. We're like a penny away from an IBIT dip buy. That would be my last trade of the day. I'm still in Ford. It looks like we're just going to leave Ford when this midday is done. Don't worry, we didn't trade more than we could afford to lose on that. We're about a penny out of the money, so Ford was basically flat for me. IBIT, though, like I said, I was looking for a dip buy, but just in time is actually just in time with this request, asking if we can revisit Mara as it goes to high of day. Mara knocking on the door of 20s. Right now it's at 1972, so let's see if it can make its way into the 2000s and party like it's 1999 over here. But right now we're about 17 pennies shy of that goal. This is a nice little VWAP bounce. This is a reversal too, because this lower high, lower high, lower low, lower low. And then we kind of broke up here with a nice swiftness. In retrospect, Sharif,
yes,
would you say this is kind of like a bull flag a little bit?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Yes. Yes, with the downward channels, lower highs, lower lows, and you had that breakout. Do you think we actually get the entire move of the poll?
I mean, that would be, let's see, 1730 tonight. That is a $2 move.
There.
Oh, you take it to here?
Yeah, because that's where the breakout area is,
right? Okay.
Right?
So that's still $1.80. It's still an excessively large flag pull, but let's see what we do here and if it is able to make that move, because I think either way, Mara actually being the best in the wild example there. So thank you just in time for that.
Have you heard of PM Dawn? Well, yeah, usually you punch outside your weight class, so I thought I'd ask you there. Comp SRS. Yeah, I love that. Yes, Neil. Neil, you got to sing that.
How does the song go?
I can't sing, so I
Okay.
don't want to butcher this song.
If it's a song, I might know it. I just
But
don't know
Neil knows the name of it. Comp SRX1 reminding me of PM Don in the chat. Shout out to you, dude. That's going to be on repeat on the way home. Thank you for that, Adair. We have 1 minute left on the show.
I can't believe only 1 minute. Yeah, I'm just gonna cancel this the I bid on iBit because we're not gonna get involved there. Yeah, Ford was a little disappointing, but you know what? It's okay. We had to try to make trades, and you know, like I said, this is probably the roughest day I've had in the sim, but we still lost about maybe a Starbucks drink and sandwich. So. Nothing too rough. Definitely just gives me more opportunities to try to learn, try to grow, and I'm so excited to keep going with this week because we're gonna have to wait and see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel with more bull flags. Right now, though, Brendan's at the big desk.
See you guys.
Hey guys, yeah, welcome in. A couple hours left on a pretty busy afternoon here as we get into the heart of big tech earnings coming